a fucking professional. Yo, goddamn it. You're muted, what? And daring, it's iconic. Cheese breaks, fade breaks, staying hydrated. It's shorty time. She's a fucking delight. Trial watching, trials and tribulations. It's Camp Shorty calling all nations. What are you drinking? Shall we skip this part? Left or right-handed? Shit, she slid it to the start. She's a fucking professional. Yo, goddamn it. You're muted, what? And daring, it's iconic. Cheese breaks, fade breaks, staying hydrated. It's shorty time. She's a fucking delight. Psychology corner. Let's learn about stuff. New Miss Shorty music. Calling their bluff. Best chat, best community. We've got the best mods. A safe, supportive sanctuary full of fun and love. Rock out with your cats out. Curse all you want. And here at Camp Shorty, we even say cause. She's a fucking professional. You goddamn it. You're muted, what? And daring, it's iconic. Cheese breaks, fade breaks, staying hydrated. It's shorty time. She's a fucking delight. Hey, shorties, what's going y'all? Get in here, shorties. Let's fucking go. Camp Shorty. Camp Shorty. Camp Shorty. Camp Shorty. It's come to my attention that you think I have bad intentions. You misinterpret every word I say, reading the things never there, but hey, don't fuck with me. Game on, oh girl, let's go. Come at me, bro. Come at me, bro. Fuck what I find out. Come at me, bro. I'm the epitome of poison class. You're neither girl, sit down that ass. You need to realize I will call you out, even as I grace you with the benefit of doubt. You've put on quite a show. It's time we talk this out. It's true you're trying to still steal my glow, but I'm truly not put out. It's pretty clear you made a choice, my words to misconstrue. But I simply don't hold grudges, so girlfriend, you do you. Perhaps you don't believe it, but trust me, this much is true. If you fuck around, you will find out. So girl, I promise you, don't fuck with me. Game on, oh girl, let's go. Come at me, bro. Come at me, bro. Fuck around and find out. Come at me, bro. Perhaps you don't believe it, but trust me, this much is true. If you fuck around, you will find out. So girl, I promise you, don't fuck with me. Game on, oh girl, let's go. Come at me, bro. Come at me, bro. Fuck around and find out. Come at me, bro.
Oh, Steph, sorry to get you all snarky and shit. Wait, I didn't even check my audio. Hi, shorties. right audio. Boom. Hi, good to see you. Good to see you all. Hey. Let me do some housekeeping. Ooh. I don't know. I was just looking through the songs and I was like, oh, Poppy says, hey, we're starting a live stream. Let's do it. Let's fucking go. Fuck around and find out. Oh, good point. What the fuck says, all of a sudden though? Are you ever not? Lol. Valid point. I'll allow it. Hi, it's great to see you all. Fancy seeing you here. Hi, Colours. Where did you go today on your way from the last one to this one? Did the redirect take you to some Eastern European faction? What am I doing? I'm all discombobulated, and Poppy says, "Me too, me too." K. Wait. So, hi. I haven't got my earbuds in. It's all like wild. I need to charge them just a little. Poppy says, I love you. I love you too, Poppy. Very, very much. Laura says, I missed the end of the last stream. It started pouring rain and the kids and I ran to get the washing off the line. I think that rain came off the ice shelf in Antarctica. So it's still cold there. We have 31 degrees here. Not yet. That's Celsius. Colours is safe in the motherland. Phew. Hey, Colours. So excited. Cherry earrings, yes. I did a bunch of earring purchases when I saw. Remember we watched a couple of weeks ago that, was it last week? Recently, time. That lovely lass who had guitar earrings. I'm like, I want cool earrings too. So I got a bunch of cool earrings. I've got cool Easter ones for Easter. So excited. The earrings are adorable, just like me. Lol. You'll be pleased to know, because I had like 69 tabs open for the last stream, I have only got one of the few we need to watch for this evening queued up at this point, but I know what they are because they're in the description box already. Poppy, she's crazy. How are you all? Oh, grass is green enough, says the flowers that I send to myself every month just arrive. What a beautiful thing. Oh my God, those earrings are so fucking cute. Thanks. I go with my, it looks like my hairline is receding, but actually, well, maybe a little bit. It's just that my grays, there they are. There's the grays. We're getting there. 69. Yes. So Shunwan sent me a really good video in Fight Club. Not actually Fight Club. It's Discord. That she said, you've probably seen this. And I haven't, because the YouTubes are big wide streets. So how about that black box? Do you want me to open already? We have to open the black box to start with? Okay, we can do that. Wait. Oh, the dogs. The bloody dogs. Thanks for being here, everyone. Here's my black box. What? Clip it. Steph! Yikes! Girl! Oh my God, there's so many things here, so many videos. Goodness. Hey, how cool was it in our last live stream, the top 10 villains and idiots, that that people in the chat and actual people we like got the memberships. And here's another one, Sav. Yes. So here's my top secret box. I can't see. Shunned One and Colors sent me a big gift box full of beautiful face masks, hair masks, body scrubs, this delightful lip oil. I love it. I'll be putting that on my lips in un momento. In fact, I'll do it now. Why not? Remember, this is the last night of Camp Shorty. Replay crew, if you're coming along going, what the fuck? This seems a bit hectic. It is, because that's how we roll, Camp Shorty. We've been going a while already. And again, Steph, look, girl. In the treat box, or in the gift box, was also some pig's ears for the dogs, the friends. It was so sweet of them. I had a bit of a rough week last week. My sleep is amazing. Wait, sidebar. Already a sidebar within a sidebar. Goodness gracious. If you are someone, this is relevant to our neurodivergent stream. I think a lot of the time, folks, sleep isn't necessarily a given. Quality sleep isn't necessarily a given. If you have any problem with sleeping with quality, consistency, staying asleep, I don't have any trouble falling asleep, but I often wake up many times. I wake up many times through the night. I used to take melatonin, like tablets, like slightly flavored, and they were great. And then I saw these sleep patches on Amazon. I'm like, give them a go. They're only 3 milligrams melatonin. They've got lavender and upgraded extra strength. Lavender, GABA, melatonin, and other stuff. They're so good. Magnesium, lavender essential oil, valerian root, GABA, hops. Oh, there's beer in it. 5-HTP and L-theanine. Honestly, I don't know. There's like 60 patches in here. I feel like it was maybe $30. Get on it. I tried 2 the first night, and then I'm like, I don't need 2. I just have 1, and I've been sleeping like a baby. Anyway, I digress. I had a pretty, life is hard sometimes, and I was tired and a bit sad. And then I arrived home to this gigantic box on my front porch, and I said to Shandwan, should I open it all as an unboxing on the live? And she said, no, open them yourself. So I videoed them, and then but save the top secret box, the black box that says top secret. Steph, you're on a roll tonight, doll. Girl. Babies don't sleep. True. Very true. Babies don't sleep. Turn of phrase. Poor choice of words. Sleeping like a rock. A rock sleep. Poppy does not sleep like a rock. She's like this all the time. So, long story short, shall we? There's no pixies in here for you. You've had your pixies. Oh, there's a spider here. A little jumping spider. Where'd you come from? Jump away. Jump somewhere else. Thanks. Shunned and Steph. Wait, what? Did I say the wrong person? I did. Oh, shunned one. Sorry. Credit where credit's due. So here we go. Wait. Do I match the new Stay Weird background? Here we go. I'm scared. This is apparently very relevant to our comrades community. Should I play something about Nick and Colours as like sound effects for it? They're lovers. Spy lovers. What's the longest Nick one? Here we go.
There's nothing I like better than snuggling up in a foxhole, discussing the mechanisation of Russian agriculture, and listening to some Shorty tunes.
We're not listening to Shorty tunes. We're listening.
And, I want to be honest with people. I don't want to be somebody I'm not. I don't live in a van. That's not me. I'm not that man.
I'm dragging it out, aren't I? Drum roll. No, I can't hear anything. Did it stop? Oh, bubble wrap. I don't know if my microphone's still bubble wrapping. I collect bubble wrap. I have a huge problem with throwing out bubble wrap, because what if I need it? I'll keep this bubble wrap. What is in here, shunned one and colours? It's so exciting. Oh, big bubble wrap as well. Steph. It's the Battle of the Green. It's raining green. It's raining green. It's raining green, and I'm not fast enough on the uptake here. I'm just not. Sort of professional. Imagine if I opened it while that was playing and I didn't let you guys see it. You shorties. Oh my goodness, shunned one. Oh, pink, my favorite color. Let me get back to chat. Poppy, stop with the panting. I can't with the panting. Walk on it barefoot, says Princey. Feels awesome. I might give that a go. Oh my God, and guess what? Oh, there's 2 things in here. In bubble wrap. Bustus, does I like presents? Do you like my dog voice? It's so annoying. Oh! Oh, I've got a Babushka doll tattoo on my calf, on one of my calves. Oh my goodness. Is this you two? Is this Shunwan in colours? Wait. Oh, Poppy, I can't. Why can't I do this? There we go. Oh, look underneath. What? Ah, this is me. I'm the supreme leader. Supreme leader. Oh, it's flaring. Wait. There we go. Supreme leader. And that's Colours. Wait. Oh my God. Colours has dyed her hair. She's got beautiful new hair color, like a beautiful grape purpley color. Oh, thank you. And thank you for all the gifts. Look, we match Colours. Supreme leader. I can't with this direction thing. Oh, that's so sweet. Wait, pause. I'm just going off. Just walk and talk, chat. I want to show you something. Poppy's yawning. Hang on. I'll keep talking so you can still hear me. Sort of. Talking not very well. So I have this one that's actually from Russia. Not that those ones aren't, obviously. And then now, like, I feel like this is the supreme leader. Not me, like I was going to say the actual supreme leader. Look, it's a little family. That lives behind me with those plants. How many inside? Good question. Grass is green enough. I hope there's 69. Like, yikes. Oh, there's not just me. Oh, wait. And so is there a look inside in here? Wait. Can you see? Oh, I can't do it. Can you see that? Nick? Oh my goodness. And there's Shunwan. You're the baby Shunwan. Oh, that's awesome. Wait, there's another one. Oh, look. Look how tiny they are. Oh, Joey. Oh, that's so sweet. There's another one. Look at this little one. Oh, I'm going to fumble it. Matilda. Oh, that's it. Matilda's got nobody inside her. It's a whole family. That's the sweetest. You guys are the sweetest. And Jennifer, welcome to membership. So you've come into this is how Camp Shorty kind of always is, really, isn't it, chat? Screech. Joey. Joey inside Nick. Wait, what am I doing here? It goes Matilda, Joey, shunned one. It's supposed to be all the top ranks. Well, obviously. Nick. I can't. You guys are the best. Oh. Replay crew is going, what the fuck? Nick. And Colours. If Colours, I forget your rank as always. Colours is just in charge of shit. She's in charge of promotions. Kinky. Steph says kinky. No Babushka doll kink shaming. Nesting dolls. I love it. Thank you. Who was I inside? Nick says Nick. Wait, Poppy, stop. I'm trying to be professional. It just never happens. I can't with professionalism. Nick says
It's not a deal breaker, but I'd like to know. Thank you.
Nick, you are inside. You're inside Colours. I mean, obviously. I knew it. Joey was in. Oh, ay, ay, ay. God, chat, Shorties, you're the best. Yes, Joey is inside. I mean, not us neurodivergent folk around here. Not colours, not Nick, but not Princey. Oh, okay, so and they kind of look like dicks too. Like I'm just saying, could be useful. Wait, I didn't say that. Jeez Louise, says colours. Was your You never know. No kink shaming. Joey might be thrilled. Joey might be thrilled. Jennifer goes, what is going on? It's not normally this crazy, but I don't know. Inside, Nick says inside colours. Splendid. Buster's not quite sure. Ah, splendid. Chat went feral early. So, Jennifer, we usually do 4 streams every weekend for Camp Shorty, right? Last night was just one because I had Salty Sleuth and I were discussing very, very much at length and in depth about length and depth, fully throated, a full thrusted discussion about the Brian Koberger pre-trial motions hearing day that was last week on the 9th. And then we just did a live stream about the top 10 villains and idiots in the Karen Reid trial. And so anyway, so by this one, by number 4 of the weekend, things tend to go a little off the rails and we love it. We have fun. We learn some stuff. We love each other. The earbuds for that. Buster, don't even think about it. Apparently I scream a bit. Jeez Louise. So shall we be composed? Timestamp it. Somebody's going to have to timestamp it to or somebody. This is why I am Commanding General. Salty Sleuth Investigates. Hi. You came in on the at the end of hence why I said don't open yesterday. Yes, I see now. Full thrusted. Yes. I think I might have deleted that soundbite to make room. Steph throwing out the fucking, she's doing the whole strip club thing tonight. I love that. It is Saturday night after all. So I now, you know what I'm going to do from now on? Rather than having this very auspicious, but a little bit too classy for us, let's be honest. Babushka doll over there where nobody can see it. My father and stepmother went to Russia at some point and bought me that. So it comes with a little bit of trauma because I'm not a huge fan of theirs. We do get a little bit feral occasionally. I'm going to put them here instead with my not even remotely cluttered workspace. Love 1010. Let me move some shit out of the way. But cheese wrappers, government cheese. And shall we talk about what we're going to talk about? Thank you. I love it. I love you. Thank you for thinking of me and love 1010. I've got a few things to write down. I'll do it when we start the video. I have one tab open. So this is exciting. Ready to go. I need more. Shunned one. It's a competition. Y'all, girls, ladies, don't save your money. And that. So we're talking about, very fitting that it says stay weird up there, right? It's like a carnival game for me now, yes. Who is inside the other? So it went, nobody's inside me, which is factual. Empty. That's how rusty things are. Wow. What? Please don't timestamp that. And then you all are nested inside each other. So in colours, Nick is inside colours. Joey's inside Nick. No. Yes. Wait. God. No. Shunned one's inside Nick. Joey's inside shunned one. And then Matilda's inside Joey. Wow. See? Laura says, I say nothing about Russia. My partner is Ukrainian on his mum's side. Oh, we have all the respect for the motherland. There's no mockery. It's a serious business, man. It's a coalition. So cute. I love it. I love it. I love you all very much. I do love you all very much. Compose myself. So we took a break from talking about autistic stuff, neurodivergence last weekend. I felt like I personally needed to reset with my, like, let's be honest, my kind of inappropriate diagnosing of people, because that's not really my place. It doesn't matter whether I say I'm not diagnosing you. I don't know. Like, who am I to say anything? And so I'm going to try really hard not to do that, because I don't know everything. Nobody does. And you all know yourself, right? So Color says, Princey, they were custom made to look like actual people, and we needed one more for the ranks, so we had to order an extra big one. Well, I like extra big ones, so that there's nothing wrong with ordering an extra big one. Agreed. Yeah. Like, it's hard though, Akasha, right? Because so I'm going to be. It's not recommended. Pegging. That's a whole different conversation, Nick. It's kind of hard because I think, like, a lot of people, the neurodivergent radar is very strong in most neurodivergent folks, not all. And it's really hard. I know myself. I love sharing my knowledge and learning you all. And sometimes I get a little bit like that whole, it's actually like I can be a bit of a know-it-all, and that's not real pleasant and for you all, and I'm aware that I do it, but it's hard for me to stop. Zero filter. So I'm going to take a lot of time to not do that tonight. Akasha says, Brit, good timing. Hi. Akasha says, I thought I was doing it in the nicest possible way, but it was offensive to the person. I was highly offended the very first time somebody said to me, have you ever been diagnosed as autistic? And I was like literally, how dare you? That's assault. Like, that rude. And then 18 months later, I was like, they're probably onto something. And I think part of the problem is that society oft feels like it's an insult and that there's a stigma because there's some sort of deficiency or disorderedness in being neurodivergent or autistic. So I understand why I recoiled the way I did, and I understand why people can be resistant to it. And I also know that it's not recommended to point out to people who you believe very strongly probably are autistic, to tell them that they are, because shut the fuck up, Lisa. So so all that to say, in half an hour, this particular video I thought would be a good place to start, also while I pull up the other tabs, because there was no more room on my big screen, my second monitor, to pull them up, and no more time. I worked for many hours yesterday to get that show ready and timestamp Friday night's live stream. So this is lovely, and this isn't just some autistic person like me or some YouTuber telling us what's what. This is actually a doctor, or so she says, not really knowing what she's talking about here. Hang on. Do I know what I'm talking about? It's so the channel this appears on is The New Scientist. And let me read to you. This 3 days ago, this video, and it's linked in the description box, so you're more than welcome to watch it separately. Wait, let me move this. 47,000 views in 3 days. And the description is, for decades, researchers have thought of autism as predominantly male condition. The more we studied boys and men, the clearer the picture of autism that emerged, or so we thought. Today we have come to realize we were missing a huge piece of the puzzle all along. Gina Rippon explores this topic through her research and her new book, which, sidebar, I pre-ordered on Audible, narrated by Gina Rippon, not out till the 15th of July, but I'm looking forward to it. She's lovely. Seems lovely. The book is called The Lost Girls of Autism, How Science Failed Autistic Women. Shandwan says, I learned a lot on this. Very interesting. And Shandwan, you are still getting to the bottom, or you've been getting mixed diagnoses from a couple of physicians, right? I think this what we're going to watch, it's about 18 minutes, the first video we're going to watch, will go a long way to suggest why perhaps some of us are doing those online self assessment checklists and coming up with not fails, you know what I mean? Like, we're not getting the results which perhaps we thought we might, or that Miss Shorty told us we would, because shut up, Lisa. She explains that not only have we been failing to recognize autism in vast numbers of women and girls, preventing them from getting a diagnosis and support, but we have now made the profound discovery that the female autistic brain works differently than the male one, especially when it comes to social motivations and behaviors. As a result, an entirely new picture of autism in girls is crystallizing, forcing a radical rethink of everything we thought we knew. So perhaps this might go to explain why some folks, when they do those self-assessment checklists, don't necessarily score highest. And I'm not going to elaborate further because Gina Rippon will elaborate far better than me and far more articulately, and she knows what she's talking about because it's her study. Hi, Rita. Good to see you. Well, perhaps for you, Rita, also, this might help. I'm not going to do any fucking diagnosing and chat, and including like the people that I tend to like pick on. Just tell me to shush. No, but don't stop ramming it down my throat. That's what she said. Yeah, Laura, same. Like, mine was high, but then there's things in the video. Let the video speak for itself, Lisa. So let me just get Gina Rippon back here. Oh, sidebar. I've also just today started reading or listening to Evie Pomporis's book, Becoming Bulletproof. Fucking great. So good. I was crying this morning, making my coffee and toast, listening to her, and she is as badass in her book as she is on screen. So, full screen. Let me get the closed captions up. I've already slowed it down from whatever ludicrous speed I had it at. And why is that not proper full screen? There, that's why. That's how we do it. Let's go, chat. To me, this is the most accurate and balanced conversation because it's coming from a woman researcher who studied women and the deficiencies in the testing up till now. Let's go.
These very powerful personal testimonies of late diagnosed autistic women who had a really hard life, and you just think these people deserve to be heard and to find out why life has been like this for them. That was the kind of eureka moment for me. I thought there is something different going on in this population which nobody's captured.
Should we start with the current understanding of autism? What is autism, and why do we think about it predominantly as a male thing?
The term actually refers to self-absorption, and it came way back when it was first.
Pause. No surprise there. Brit says, a lady told me your kids don't look autistic and you should get them reassessed. I told her perhaps she needs to get her non-autistic kids assessed to make sure they are normal. She was offended. I love you, Brit. I love you. Hey, I also found a thing, Dr. Ramini, about the differences between narcissism and autism, she gets a few things not wrong, but I think she comes from the male dominated research and mindset, as in men and boys being more likely, 4 times more likely to be or neurodivergent than women. But if we can set that aside, she has some really interesting points to make too. And then I've got some stuff from ADHD on the inside. Is it called that now, or ASD? The guy that used to be called Asperger's on the inside. No, his channel since changed its name because we don't do that anymore.
First identified in children, and what characterized these children by the people who first started describing them was their apparent sort of aloofness and aloneness, and the idea that they, or the presentation that they didn't have the need for contact with anybody else. But that's kind of changed over the 80 years or so in which we've been trying to understand what this condition actually is. In the latest diagnostic and statistical manual criteria, there's a focus on 2 characteristics of autistic individuals. One is to do with problems with any kind of social interaction.
God, what do I do? I'm just going to say, I know we love chatting, but of anything, this is the one to really listen to. I'll try not to interrupt too much, and I do have to pull up another few tabs while she's talking, but have a listen. She's got some really good points, and when the book comes out in July, I will absolutely Kraken girl, it's so good to see you. I love everybody's contributions, but Kraken often has some absolute fucking zingers. Very, very knowledgeable on basically anything. In fact, when I grow up, I'd like to be Kraken.
Interaction. And the other is to do with problems with repetitive movements, what's called stimming, self-stimulation, so hand flapping, spinning, or hair twiddling or something like that.
Sidebar. My mother, my adoptive mother, I now believe, excuse me, I believe she's autistic. She was a mad hair twirler, a mad gum chewer, and a smoker before that. She's also a narcissist. So, but that. Carry on, Gina Rippon.
Like that. And also very, very narrow, focused, obsessive interests. Resistance to change is also something which is very characteristic, as any parents or carers of autistic children can tell you. And finally, which has only recently been added, unusual sensory experiences. So highly sensitive to bright lights, loud noises, but also sometimes hyposensitive. So they sometimes don't respond to the sound of their name, for example, which is interesting because it looks as though sensory sensitivities or sensory differences much more common in females, autistic females. So it hasn't been part of the diagnostic picture from the beginning, which could be part of the problem.
So our
Jim
picture
Cox is here.
Still evolving very much at the moment.
Jim Cox.
It has changed, but I think in the
Everybody
public
loves
consciousness there is quite a sort
Hi,
of
Alessi.
fixed stereotype of autism, which is what, parents of autistic children say their heart sinks, the Rain Man effect, the idea that there's somebody with very, very strange superpowers and also very bewildering patterns of behaviour. And also in the stereotype is that characteristically they're male.
Yes. And that's something that has been pervasive in the scientific community as well, isn't it?
Absolutely, and the clinical community. It's one of those stories of a self-fulfilling prophecy. When the descriptions of what...
If you're wondering what I'm doing, I'm on my second monitor just pulling up the other tabs that I needed to have ready to go for us. So while I'm not going to interrupt Gina Rippon too much, but that's what I'm doing. I'm looking to the side to my super professional, proper YouTuber second monitor because I'm a fucking professional. Carry on, Gina. I'll get back to chat in a moment.
What was called autism first arrived, there was no comment that it was characteristically male, but gradually as the cases accumulated and then people started collecting prevalent statistics, it did look as if it was more common in boys because the cases that were being reported, there were more boys than girls. And the very first sort of epidemiological study, which was done in the UK, found that they were looking at a ratio of about 4 to 1. So they did comment that there were 4 times as many boys as girls. And that kind of became fixed as a characteristic of the condition. There were sort of passing comments about there being fewer girls. And even in the 1980s, when the description was broadened considerably and included
Hi, Lady
aspects such
V.
as Asperger's syndrome, there was observations that there were fewer girls, but there was a kind of, interestingly, Lorna Wing, who's perhaps one of the mothers of autism, said, oh, maybe girls are just better at hiding their signs of autism, which was almost a sort of passing comment. And nobody really went into, so why should they be hiding their signs? You know, why is that more girls doing that? So that was parked for a long time. And then, so in fact, you know, clinicians would say, you know, if a parent turned up with a daughter and said, I'm a bit worried about this behavior, she can't be autistic, she's a girl, you know, and this is not an uncommon still comment. And so it became part of the clinical literature. And then, as you said, it also became part of the scientific world, which is where I was, because obviously, if you're interested in a particular clinical condition, you take the participants from the already diagnosed individuals, or even if you have a slightly more generous approach and say, well, I'm going to test a whole community, see who's got higher levels of autistic traits, some males, some females, you'll then find that probably your funding body will say we have to prove that these people are definitely autistic. So they then are presented with the so-called gold standard tests, the ADOS, which is the Autistic Diagnostic Observation Schedule, where people look at various kinds of behaviour they think are characteristic of autism or try and elicit those. And also a diagnostic interview, which is something like 93 questions where the carers or parents of children, if you're looking at children, or the adults themselves, are questioned about unusual aspects of behaviour. Those are called the gold standard tests, and they're very rigid, very driven by algorithms. So you have to get so many points, and then the algorithm takes you over a clinical threshold or doesn't. And it's turned out that actually those tests themselves.
So this is interesting, right? We've spoken about in chat, folks in chat, mentioning that they did the online self-assessment tool checklist, whichever one they chose, and they didn't score high enough to be categorized or classed as being autistic. So here's Gina Rippon suggesting why perhaps there's a reason for that, because the questionnaires are tailored based on the observations of up until now, or very recently, there being a belief that it's a 4 times as many males, boys and men, who are autistic as women. And so those questionnaires are tailored to what they know, they being the psychologists and the researchers know to be behaviors and traits indicative of for those men. And that may well be why when some folks do, might also be that you're not autistic, but it could be that perhaps it's the questionnaire is actually, you can get the results you want from any questionnaire by simply putting the questions, even just the way they're worded. But you can get any outcome from any study, just depending on what verbiage and what criteria you use. So interesting.
Because they are based on individuals who are already diagnosed, are looking at individuals who are male. So even if a girl, somebody says, yes, so maybe she's autistic, she gets to a clinician who gives her the tests, she fails to reach the threshold. So at each point, there's this bias, which is kind of built into the system, which means at the end of it, there are fewer diagnosed autistic females.
So they're almost not autistic enough.
That's right.
To pass the test.
Yes.
There it is.
Only a bit autistic.
Bit autistic. We all have a little bit of autism in us, don't we? No. Interesting. Princey says, Cox, I always heard that girls play with their hair because they're horny. I think there's a difference between like flicking your hair when you're just preening yourself in conversation with, I know you're joking. I mean, that's what people say. Preening and kind of playing with your hair as a kind of a mating dance, you know, like a very primal thing, different to like my mum used to sit at her work desk just twirling her hair over and over again, just twirling. She wasn't talking to anybody. And I know when I'm stressed or when I'm thinking, I did it earlier in the last stream. I'll do this with my hair, particularly when it's pulled back smooth. And that's a stim for me, a stimming, you know, self-soothing, stimming behavior. That's not me trying to be sexy or like get a guy. How old is this interview? A couple of days old. She's Brit. She's talking about that's what she's saying. She's saying previously that's what these studies have come up with. This was aired 3 days ago. Her book, The Lost Girls of Autism, isn't released yet. It's not released until mid-July. So this is a very recent interview prepping for the release of that book, which is in pre-release phase at the moment. I'm looking forward to reading it.
What happened when we started to look at the brain? Did we at that point start to look at girls and find a difference?
Right. Well, I guess that's where I came in. I thought, you know, fair enough, I'll go through the literature and I'll see what's been found. And that's when I found that actually we hadn't found anything because nobody was looking. The first 30 years or so of research. One of the surveys I did showed that 70% of the studies only tested males or 1 or 2 females. And we're drawing up quite interesting models of, you know, what was characteristic of the...
Motion to scream, what the fuck granted. Madam in blue, love you. I think it's also important to consider that those who have been masking forever are very good at it. She gets there. Y'all are on the right page. It's like we're halfway through. Keep listening, chat. Keep listening.
Of the autistic brain. Maybe this could tell us something about the brain bases of autism. But it was all based on boys and men, which is pretty shocking because there were autistic. There have always been women who've been diagnosed with autism, but actually, of course, because they're being tested against a male standard, it was only the girls who presented like males who got diagnosed. Right. The ones who had a different presentation, as you say, didn't make the cut. weren't autistic enough.
So when we did that on males, as you say, what did we find out about the brain?
Well, it was interesting because the discovery of different networks in the brain, which underpins social behaviour, tied in with an idea that our brains have actually evolved, yes, to give us language and creativity, etc., but also to make us social, make sure we're social, but also had to have a drive to be social. So it wasn't just a sort of pattern of behaviour, it was something we needed to do. And part of the so-called social brain is a reward system, which, you know, this was a good thing, you know, make sure you do that again, and perhaps not a good idea to go through that again, do a U-turn if necessary kind of thing. And one of the areas I'd worked in was like negative social experiences. So some of us social cognitive neuroscience is a real killjoys because you put people in a scanner and make themselves feel bad about themselves.
So, Jim, yes, what Gina Rippon is saying here is that they've looked at those previous studies and realised the flaws in them. And so this study that Gina Rippon has done, or wait, is it a study? Yes. Her study is of the studies based on her observations, and is realizing that these studies were flawed. And so that's what that introductory blurb at the bottom of this in the description box of this video says is, but we have now made the profound discovery that the female autistic brain works differently than the male one, especially when it comes to social motivations and behaviors. As a result, an entirely new picture of autism in girls is crystallizing, forcing a radical rethink of everything we knew. So I think that's really important to understand that you're spot on, Jim. Using old studies and historical data can be flawed if we simply use them blindly. We being me, the medical professional, studies and researchers and actual medical professionals, mental health professionals and the like, if they only rely on the old data and don't actually deconstruct it and look at what the realities are, what we now know, and evolve that way. So that can be dangerous. So this is groundbreaking, new discoveries.
themselves or imagine a situation where they created, you know, it was a real faux pas, or to take part in a video game where they're consistently rejected by the other players, etc. So then you could see the different patterns of behavior within the social brain. And what was starting to emerge in the early work with autism was that there was an underactivity, less responsivity to negative social experiences in the autistic participants than in the neurotypical participants. And so we started to evolve this model about the hypoactive social brain, an underactive reward system, getting less, you know, enjoyment from social experiences, less motivated to be social.
And presumably less of that negative feedback, so you don't mind so much if
That's
you
right,
are
yes.
if you are rejected or if you don't fit in.
You know, it's
Interesting. Brit says, I had my son assessed and diagnosed by a professional specializing in female autistics because my son has many of the female traits. That's really interesting.
sort of, you know, shrug, like, and that was the model that was emerging. And it was only when I started to look at all of the studies that had been done on the social brain, which is where it turned out that, as I said, 70% had only been done on males, and of the rest, there were a very small number of females, almost too few to do any comparisons anyway. But then
I don't do hugs either, but I'd hug you, Rita.
Arms within the neuroscience community and saying we really ought to be looking at sex and gender differences. But when they started carrying out those kind of researches, even replicating earlier work done on the social brain with female participants, they found a very different pattern of activity. Female participants were much more likely to respond much more powerfully to negative social experiences, but also to show evidence of constant sort.
Nick asks, maybe I missed it, but when was autism an accepted condition? Studies have been 80 years, Gina Rippon said at the beginning, 80 years since first started to look into autism as being a thing.
Sort of self-referencing, self-monitoring throughout social, the kind of social tasks we'd put in the scanner. And you can interpret that as saying,
maybe,
well,
Rita?
They mind very much. There has been this long-standing belief that females are more driven to network with other individuals, to be social. And so there is a suggestion, and there was a suggestion early on, that the reason girls were being missed because they were socialized from a very early age to behave themselves, to be nice, to be quiet, not to make a fuss. And so they were almost being trained to be camouflages, because if they weren't camouflages, then they were going to behave a lot more like the boys who.
So this is what you said before. What the fuck? So being missing being noticed by, excuse me, teachers and, you know, carers and stuff, because girls traditionally are raised in our society, perhaps, to behave and to. I mean, it's not even discussing here the, you know, ADHD kind of feralness that could be for some children, but let's just take that out of the equation for now.
Are very external. The core problem is similar in that there is some difficulty with the means of social behaviour for all of the members of the autistic population. But for the group that spend a lot of time camouflaging and hiding their autism, which, if you think about it, is a bit paradoxical. If you think being autistic is not worrying about not being social, but the reason they camouflage is because they're so worried that there is a different story there. So they have the motivation and not the means, which is doubly hard, I think.
In your book, you describe somebody who you call Alice. It's not her real name. And I thought it was very touching how she only sort of really realised about her own autism when she saw her neurotypical son start nursery and saw how he just
automatically fit in. I think that's, and I use, the reason she's called Alice, because I have this kind of, which I thought was wonderfully original, metaphor for either side of the looking glass. I mean, appreciating that there is an original version of that, because autistic people say they find it hugely difficult. This is, and mainly females talking about this, hugely difficult to understand how people interact with each other. And that's what drives them to do this exhausting lifelong strategies of watching very carefully the popular girls at school or people at work and working out how.
I knew what you meant, Nick. I didn't think you meant socially accepted. I meant I got you. I got you. I think societally we've still got a little ways to go. There's a lot of misinformation, and that's what we're doing here. We be learning the folks, 250 people at a time.
People relate to each other, training themselves to make eye contact for exactly the right amount of time. And then they actually write scripts, they practice them in front of mirrors. The whole of their day, particularly little girls at school, will be playing out a script that they've got in their head and watching what the popular girls do. And it's exhausting. And that's when they have these kind of meltdowns when they get home at the end of school and throughout life. And even when...
So I'm going to just pause there and say, for me, a lot of, like, my childhood, I don't ever recall having meltdowns, ever. It was only as my stressors increased in my late teens and then into adulthood that I had anything that would resemble a meltdown. I was very well behaved and expected to be well behaved. I was a very good child, but I acted out in terms of the clothes I wore. I was a bit rebellious there, but I don't recall I was never acting out in my behavior in class or at home. So there's no hard and fast rule. There's no absolutes for any one person. I'll say it over and over again. If you've met one autistic person, you've just met one autistic person. So a lot of when they're talking people, whether in chat or the creators we've watched or this Gina Rippon talking about what she found in her studies, don't necessarily apply to all of us. I'm 1,000,000,000% autistic, but it's I'm not a cookie cutout, and none of us are cookie cutouts in this. Some things apply, others do not.
And parents were worried about their daughters. The teachers would say, "Oh, she's just quiet. You know, she's actually very good. She never makes any fuss in class. You know, she stands quietly in the corner and doesn't get into trouble in the playground." And there's a study done recently where it was shown that if teachers were given a hypothetical story about a child with behavioural problems, and asked, do you think this child is autistic, or would you refer this child to be assessed, or do you think they need help? If the teachers were told the hypothetical child name was Jack, they were much more likely to say this child is autistic and needs help than if the child, description exactly the same, was called Chloe. So even at that point, there's a barrier to say, you know, this is part of this, you know, clamping pipeline, as it were.
So girls often develop these techniques to camouflage or mask their autism. Does that change as they get older?
I think what's really interesting is it definitely changes about the time of adolescence, because as well as all the physical changes associated with puberty, very often in the Western world, it also is associated with moving into a much more complicated social environment.
We love you,
when
Steph.
you move from primary school to secondary school. And that's very often the point at which girls who had apparently been perfect and no trouble at all suddenly start expressing or demonstrating huge distress. And I think that's because the camouflages, the scaffolding they've erected is no longer fit for purpose.
Because they've gone into a completely different environment.
That's right. So going away from a nice...
Laura says, same Lisa, I'm the youngest of 4 girls, and mum always said I was the easy child, which makes sense in that where you fell in the order of your family. Worried too much about disappointing my parents, but I was isolated for talking too much at school. Lol. Yeah, I mean, I talking too much all the time also but never never more than that. That was probably the boundaries I pushed the furthest, was my chatter. But have you met me? Hi, it's me. I'm the talker. Uh, we had a conversation last night with Salty Sleuth Investigates about what level 1, 2, or 3 autism meant, and level 1, and Brit will describe it far better than I will, and probably many of you in the chat will, but level 1 is what's sort of viewed and deemed as being high functioning and most able to cope in the world without too many or any accommodations. Level 3 being the most severely affected by autism and requiring significant and substantial assistance and accommodations in life to get by. And who was it? Maybe Life Artist? Can't remember. Somebody said, perhaps it was Shanwan. No, can't remember who it was. It wasn't Shanwan, because Shanwan hasn't been diagnosed as being autistic. But that they said that whoever the commenter was, and I'm sorry I can't remember, was someone who would be classed as being level 1. But there are many times in that person's life where they would really do need support. I can attest to that. I would be if I was formally diagnosed, I would be categorized as being a level 1 autistic person. In the olden days, you'd call me, I'd be an Asperger's. I'd have Asperger's. But like, call back to 2 weeks ago when my hot water system went on the blink, I still don't have hot water. I simply cannot manage to get that sorted. So I've just been getting by for 2 weeks with boiling the kettle and doing what Shanwan called bird baths in the shower, washing my hair in cold water, upside down in the shower recess, boiling the kettle for doing the dishes. It would be really helpful for me to have some sort of support person to help me get that sorted. Yes, Brit said something like that. Perhaps it was Brit. So you would see me and think I'm highly articulate some of the time, kind of smart, kind of able to like get shit done. And then there's some things level 1 autistic person just cannot get done. It's too much for me. It's too much for me. There's so many things in life that are too much for me. There we go. High functioning can require support for things too. Exactly. Akasha says, this makes me feel like such a failure to my first child. So many of the things are spot on. Other things I have learned before this are spot on. I tried so hard to do all the things. Akasha, all you can do is your best with the knowledge and the tools you have at the time, and the support and the time you have available. And as you can't turn back time. I'm sad that you feel like a failure. I know there's a lot of people in our community who articulate similar things with regards to their children. I mean, I don't have any anger now, but I was infuriated in the early days of my self-diagnosis and identification that my parents never picked up on any of it. But what Gina Rippon's saying makes sense, that nobody would pick it up. I didn't pick it up. Laura says, making those phone calls, that's me all over. It's, you know what, it's not even the phone call for me. I could probably manage the phone call. It's the fact of having someone come into my home, my sanctuary. I'm embarrassed by the state of my backyard where the hot water system is. I would feel like the anxiety, the distress, the palpable visceral distress I would feel at having to interact with a person in my home, and all of those things coupled with time blinders, plus anxiety equals shutdown, right? Is it possible that level 3 could be something else altogether? No, well, could be. There's often level 3 diagnosed autistic people have got some learning disabilities, intellectual disabilities, or limitations. But no, I don't think so. And Steph, blah, 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 throwing out the green.
nice, safe, although not that safe, but one that they can control arena to a really complicated, highly socially dynamic,
with a whole new set of rules, very
terrifying
complicated rules.
environment of going to secondary school. And that's really the point at which epidemiologically we can see a lot of these problems emerging. So I think people do need to realise that, as we say, it's effortless for us, but it's not effortless for everybody.
Well, I mean, I think everybody finds secondary school quite hard because primary school is very predictable and routine, and the rules are very clear, and it's very supervised.
Numbers, same children in the same class all the time. But I think the issue with the chapter about adolescent, I call the perfect storm.
Right, Kraken?
Female, adolescent, and autistic. That is the perfect storm, and I think being aware of that is really important. And people should be sensitive to that.
It sounds like
I can't remember if she's mentioned it yet because I've listened to this twice. I watched this twice already. But trigger warning, but talking about the adolescent female going from primary school or middle school, you all call it, into high school, and those also physiological like hormonal changes, as well as the change in the structure of the system in which we exist in school, high school versus primary school, that there can be then that emergence of things like self-harm and eating disorders. And I don't know, chat, I'd be interested to know, and obviously you don't have to share, and I won't put it up on the screen, I'll just note it. But I mean, I personally was bulimic as a teenager, and have had bouts of anorexia and bulimia in my lifetime. And I would go so far as to say my bodybuilding days, very, very, very strict, orderly, disordered eating, regimented eating or not eating, dieting for a cause, for a reason, for a purpose, like validating or legitimizing that dieting, that eating disorder cycle. One's in the chat if you've in your lifetime, particularly as an adolescent girl, struggled or lived with eating disorders or perhaps self-harm. Do you like my calm voice when I'm being all like teaching and shit? I'm so different. Am I? It's one of my masks. I'm an orange.
Label, essentially, earlier on is very beneficial.
Yes, I think so. I mean, the use of the term label is interesting because there's a saying in arguing about overdiagnosis, labels are for jars, not for people, kind of thing. But
this is really important.
It's a lot of it's to do with identity, and the late diagnosed women are saying I felt relief because I found my tribe. I found people who were like me, and I could, if you like, go online and there's amazing resources out there with people, late diagnosed women, exchanging their experiences and all of the difficulties that these women have had, because they are tremendous difficulties, and very often they present in other ways, such as the self-harm and the eating disorders that I mentioned.
She hadn't quite.
And so at last, to have an identity becomes very important. But it's very important that the autism is identified early, because you can then assist the children to develop strategies to spot the problems.
Whose pants?
To allow
Whose shoes?
The outside world to make accommodations so they don't suffer. And to explain to the individuals themselves what this means, that yes, you will be experiencing the world differently, and that's because you've got a different brain, and we've all got different brains, and your brain is different in this way from other people's brains. So to actually give it a positive spin as well, because these women have been hiding this as a sort of shameful secret for some of them 40 or 50 years, until somebody's then said, I wonder if you might be autistic. And almost invariably, well, certainly the people I spoke to and the books, the personal testimonies, huge sense of relief. At last, my life makes sense, and they could realise what.
So, Princey, I would 1,000,000,000% wear her pants, like fucking love. I'm all about animal prints. I would happily wear animal print top with a different animal print bottom. Love, 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 love. I think she looks very stylish and elegant, but that's just me.
what it was that had driven their behaviour.
What kind of changes would you like to see? I mean, because essentially this is a good news story. We've discovered that we've missed something and now we can see it. So what needs to happen?
You hope so. I mean, there have been clinicians who've complained that their waiting lists are long enough as it is. Why we encourage women to get diagnosed.
Horrifying. Kraken says, I was angry about one thing, re my ADHD and ASD diagnosis. The decades of debilitating depression and every medication that didn't work to find out my depression is a symptom of my ADHD. Pushing shit uphill in a neurotypical world, right? It's exhausting. Exhausting. Yeah, I was angry that no one else spotted it, because once that delightful chap, he wasn't delightful, cracked open that door for me, Kraken, and said, have you ever been diagnosed as being autistic? And I was like, no, it's so offensive. Took me about 18 months. And honestly, that's my rebirthing. That's when suddenly my life made sense and found my stride, found my vibe, and found my tribe. Stay weird, y'all.
Diagnosis, but that's another story perhaps. I think the change can be just the awareness of autism presenting differently, that the picture, and people complain that the picture is too inclusive, but I think realizing that whatever you think of the autistic spectrum,
so we don't have any sensitive things here
in a large
Rita, I don't have any comment parameters in my channel. We don't do censorship here, unless one of the mods took you out. Yikes! Sniped by your sniper with a sniper in your sniper. Pew!
Large part of the population.
You can say gun.
Well, look, thank you very much.
We say cunt here. We can say gun.
Fascinating book, and
thank you.
I would urge everybody to read it.
Good.
Thank you, lady. Oh no.
This is Utah.
About 10 years ago.
I mean, you can't be judging people for what they wear. I've got cherry earrings and I'm wearing green top and green bottoms. Sorry, excuse my fat rolls. Because whatever. Surprised I don't have green earrings on as well. Yeah, I love tucking my shirt in. That last comment was snarky. Steph, there's no snark. I never see you snark. There's no snark. Simi says, we old girls like to dress hip too, right? Kraken is not Australian. Especially Brit says exactly, Kraken. I was on antidepressants, and sorry, I'm just not getting rid of Gina, but moving her out of the way for a moment. I was on antidepressants for over 20 years until my autism diagnosis. I've only been on antidepressants a handful of times in my life, for probably a total of maybe 12 months at most, maybe 18 months. But boy, I've managed my symptoms with self-medicating and etc. Drugs. Now I drink bucket loads of wine. Stop it. Exactly. We can wear whatever we feel fabulous in, regardless of what other people think. Right? Kraken says, Brit, I'm glad you have answers now too. Who is the sniper? Well, Rita, the profiler, thought that maybe her comment had been removed either by YouTube or one of the wildly dictatorial moderators in this channel. Not, but no. So it does do it. Yeah, there are some things. I've once or twice. Yeah, fair. That's a YouTubey thing. They're not a channel thing. God, we can say whatever we want to say. We can definitely type cunt. Thanks, Steph. Those earrings are fire. You wait to see my Easter earrings. Yeah, Rita, I think you'll find that's a really, really, really common. That's not just Kraken who has had that experience, and it's not an Australian experience. It's a misdiagnosis and a treating of symptoms in many, many people, neurodivergent folk, because there's no awareness, minimal awareness in the mental health profession as to what they're actually looking at, what we're presenting as when if like not me, if we go to the doctor and YouTube. Oh, God damn it. YouTube rude. Like it would let me say part of body under your chin and punch. It wouldn't let you say throat punch? Well, girl, that's fucked. Antidepressants don't work, and I've figured out that it's not the real problem. Right. Correct. Depression seems to not run but gallop in my family. Yes. Simi's 62 and still rocks a mini skirt. Yes, it's YouTube. YouTube, do better. Yikes. Now we need to know. YouTube sniped you. God damn. No, well, I didn't maybe it just wouldn't let you press send. No, we don't. Now side quest. We need to know. We need answers. Tell us how that went when you come back, Rita. Akasha, right? Sometimes I almost accidentally report people's comments because my phone just does whatever when I pick it up. Yeah. Oh, it's getting late for me. Princey, good night. Thank you so much. What? Are we on Facebook? Good Lord. Try it, everyone. Side quest. We have a mystery. Yeah. No, possibly, but there's so much gas coming out of it, Shanwan, that it stinks. We might die. I'm sorry, the neighbors. When I ordered sidebar, I was so hungry. I did so much brain work yesterday. My brain was braining all day, and I was so hungry. And I'm like, I don't want to have just cheese dinner. I know, wild. And I don't want to have just a frozen dinner, and I haven't got any meals to cook right now, and I couldn't be bothered to cook dumplings. So I ordered a burger and chips. It was very good. Just saying. Anyway, I forgot to put my front light on, so then the DoorDash guy was confused, like 1, 2, 3. I'm number 2. He took it to number 3. Went outside to get it from him, and all I could smell was gas. I was like, I am not well hung. Small dick, long balls. Just saying. It lets you press send, but then the comment isn't there. Wow, the plot thickens. My earballs are itchy. I should. Brit Ketchell says, throat punch. It worked for me. Thank you so much, Princey. It's already been a long night. I love you so much. Thank you. And Princey, thank you for the timestamps for last week's top 10 show. Beautiful. Timestamped. What the heck, Brit? Maybe it's a US YouTube thing because Brit is in Australia. Say whatever you want to say. Let's see. We'll do a social experiment. Let's check your sock drawer. A small dick, long balls, Jim. Everybody loves cocks, but I'm small dick, long balls. No dick. Turn your gas off, please. No, I have gas cookery. I'm going to die. You have to die somehow. Right. Now, this is now this is where I had some shame. Well hung. See? I think you should be able to say well hung. Surely we could be talking about like artwork. For goodness sake. Let me see. So here we go. The whole title of this show is Are You or Is a Loved One Autistic? Now, I already prefaced this with saying, like, sorry that I've been, like, lording over you with all of my psychology training and education. There is none. And diagnosing you. So I'm happy to be owned by this chap. Wait, what are we doing here? Questions. I have questions. Not her. Share this tab. So this is Are You Autistic? 20 questions to ask yourself. Terrible camera angle up his nostrils. Oh, hi, Alice. Good to see you, our favorite dragon. So now you can say it. Throat punched. Boom. Don't be throat punching anyone, but, you know, okay. Life Artist says, I was seen by various therapists through the years and no one thought I was autistic or ADHD. Was it until I educated myself in the hopes to offer more support to my nephew, then sought diagnosis? There you go. Massive balls. Fucking Literally just watched it. Yes. It's so good. I've ordered the book, pre-ordered her book. It comes out July 15th on Audible. I'm very much looking forward to it. Great minds think alike, Alice. Now, yes. So this channel used to be called Asperger's from the Inside. He's since changed his channel. Thank goodness. But I have a feeling that his logoing on the screen will say that. Times have changed, and I'm glad his channel has changed. However, it still says Asperger's on the screen sometimes. So 25. So anyway, back to that. Apologies in retrospect and in advance for breaking the cardinal rule of telling you all that you're autistic, because that's not cool. Sorry about that. I hope you can forgive me. I love you all very much. Here we go. This is linked in the description box. Oh, it's quiet though. Fuck.
With Paul. Today's video topic is part 3 in this.
Intentionally, we're watching part 3 last. It's an 8-minute video. Then I've got part 2. Don't think I've got part 1 for a reason. Can't remember. It was weeks ago. And we'll see how we're going for time. But let's go. This is quite interesting. Very helpful.
In this month's Patron's Choice video series. So the topic is, are you autistic? 25 questions to ask yourself if you're trying to figure out if you're on the spectrum or not.
One.
So in this video, I'll be going through 25 different questions across 7 categories of common autistic experiences.
Welcome to Shorties.
So we've got feeling different, routine, communication, sensory, attention, social, and emotional. So hopefully by the end of this video, you'll get a sense of whether you resonate with these kind of experiences or not.
Right.
And that should give you some.
Now, let's remember, this is a man, obviously. And so this is, and I dare say that this is a 5 years ago video. We're looking at this stuff with the frame of reference about which Gina Rippon just spoke, with all of the research almost completely based on the misconception or the misunderstanding that 4 times more men or males are autistic than females in our world. And so all of the testing and criterion are based on that. Again, no absolutes. So some of these things do not apply to me. I'm still autistic as fuck. So let's go. Linked in the description box if you would like to watch it without my blabbering on. Go.
Some valuable information as to whether or not you're on the spectrum yourself. It can be very helpful and even life-changing to realize you're on the spectrum, but it's not usually helpful to tell someone else that they're on the spectrum if they're not open to hearing it. It's all about the inner experiences that autistic people share that only you can know about. So please don't use this video in an attempt to try and diagnose someone else in your life. Okay, so let's get into it. So number 1, have you always felt different to your
I'm just going to pause to say, on a personal note, I had to do some inner grapplings with how comfortable I was to play that, knowing what I've been saying to you all. So, like humility, I've got my hat in my hands and I'm ringing it. Remember? So you'll forgive me, right? Good. Carry on.
Maybe you feel like a bit of an outsider, and even when you're part of a group, you still feel like you don't really belong, you're not really one of them. Number 2, do you worry about not being believed when you tell others about yourself? 3, do you find yourself adopting different mannerisms when you're home alone and things that you don't do in public? It might be some form of stimming or some other kind of behavior that's just more comfortable and more natural way for you, but you do it only when you're by yourself. Number 4, do you have gaps in your skill set? You might be talented in some areas, but there are also some simple things that other people can do, other people seem to be able to do naturally, that you find really difficult. Do you like to be prepared and dislike any last-minute changes? Are your routines sometimes seen as extreme or odd by others? I have practice of eating the same thing for every mealtime, and other people
Pause, I've told this before, but I'm more than happy, and have done, to eat the same dinner, exactly the same, for months and months and months. Spaghetti bolognese, y'all. I have the same thing for lunch. My lunchbox is the same every day at work. I have the same breakfast in the same order. I don't have the same dinner, but I could at the moment, but I easily and happily could. No problems. I tend towards having spaghetti bolognese from a budget point of view, but also it's my safe food. That's my, things are getting a little overwhelming. I can't control much what's going on now. Things feel a little out of control. I'm going to have bolognese every fucking night because that's reliable and predictable. And delicious. Just saying.
people can't really believe that it's that extreme, but actually it's completely fine by me. Do you like to focus on one thing at a time and find that it takes a significant amount of time and energy to change gears, switch between tasks?
Pause, yes, but also no. This is looking at a distinct autistic perspective. Throw in ADHD and you've got some serious like I can do all this, like maybe not do it well. There is a tipping point for me, and I think I swing to more ADHD prone and other times more regimented and hyper focused autistically. But I will also say that I firmly believe that autistic and ADHD are all in the same bubble, and I realize that neurodivergence is the umbrella. But I think I have a feeling that they're kind of the same. Just that spectrum is further reaching and weaves in and out. Not a mental health professional, not a doctor. Could have been so smart, like so smart.
Tasks and do something else.
Thanks, what the fuck.
Do you go through cycles of hyperproductivity and then burnout? Working really hard and then crashing, or just coping fine for a while and then falling to bits later?
Yes, that's me.
Do you struggle to hold down jobs, friends, or relationships, perhaps due to misunderstandings or maybe just for no apparent reason?
Okay, I'm gonna wear that humility hat again. Back to what the fuck, and also what the fuck. Probably might cry. My seemingly ever evolving mod squad would be an epic demonstrative of how I personally struggle to keep people in my life. And I just be me. My newest song, and I probably might play this in a minute because my most recent song called Waiting for That Fall is absolutely all about this. People falling out of your lives, and I'm never a cunt. Like I'm brutally straightforward. The filter is rarely there, if ever. I try not to be brutal, but it's tough. It's tough, and it's a theme throughout my life. And it's tough. Like, it's tough. Rice with a can of cream of soup, chicken soup, yum. Let me get back to food for a second. Food, mashed potatoes, yum. By the way, sidebar, frozen mashed potatoes are fucking delicious. Not even joking. Maybe not in the States, but in Australia, so good. Bit of extra butter if you like. Doesn't even need it. So good. Just try. And then you don't have to make the mashed potatoes. You just put it in the microwave for 3 minutes. They look like little fish sticks. Mashed potatoes. Good. Nick, yes, thank you. You have an amazing mod squad, IMO. Notice though, like Nick used to be a mod, and I've actually asked Nick if he'd come back and be a mod, but he's declined the offer, request, invitation, because he likes just being Nicholas Ticholas in the chat, being an avid chatter, minus the mod responsibilities. But if you think about it, there's been some attrition, and it continues, and that's heartbreaking for me. It feels like a me problem, like it feels like a me problem. And then that's what's devastating for me, because I'm just me. And it hurts. Like, it fucking hurts. It hurts. It hurts. It hurts. Hey, Beach Bum, good to see you. Sorry, you came in. Me having a real D&M. No, not frozen. You put them in the microwave. I mean, yeah. A them problem, yes, but I take it to heart, right? I take it to heart. Thank you. See you later, Kraken. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Love you always. Really appreciate you dropping by. Yeah, it's not you. I've read Dr. Ramini's book, It's Not You, and that's to do with narcissists. But a lot of the people that fall out of my life are not narcissists, and it's not really wise to not have some introspection and some self-reflection to wonder whether perhaps there are things that one me, hi, I'm one, is doing that I could change, that might keep people. And yes, sorry, distracted by colors talking business. Colors talking business. Jesus. Oh, sorry, not Jesus. Yikes. But it's, you know what, it's harder still for me when it's really like close people and people who are or definitely autistic or neurodivergent. That's when it really hits hard. You know, I'm going to play a song, and I'll probably cry. We might cry. You don't have to cry. It's a fucking great song. Just saying. Well, got to change the background for a music break. We'll be right back, and we'll listen to this guy and his 25 things of being things. Take away. Just walk and talk, chat. I'm doing some behind the scenes shit, but in the scenes, like on the scene. Stop that, and then play the song. Bloody beautiful. Get your crying gum, chat. Get your crying gum.
So here's what I got. I've got nothing at all. Just over here, just being me, and I'm waiting for that fall. Feeling familiar yet again. Try my best with everything. It's impossible not to fail. Skidding, sliding into the rails. Try my hardest to keep y'all happy. Still every time ends up with just me. I'm not perfect, but it's worth it to keep my authenticity. So here's what I got. I've got nothing at all. Just over here, just being me, and I'm waiting for that fall. Not gonna plead my case, never out to win the race. And hell, maybe that's the problem. Gonna always give you space. Got no sister, got no mother. Always just end up the other. And honestly, so used to it. The puzzle piece never gonna fit. Deep breath, shoulders back, chin up, stay on track. Eyes forward, stand tall. Are you with me, y'all? So here's what I got. Still got nothing at all. Just over here, just being me. Always waiting for that fall. Try my hardest to keep y'all happy. Still every time ends up with just me. I'm not perfect, but it's worth it to keep my authenticity. Still here, waiting to fall. Can only be me. Yep, that's all.
Ugh. I cried and cried and cried and cried and cried and cried and cried when that one was generated. My lyrics. Cried and cried and cried. And it's in my brain 24/7. It's the only song on repeat at the moment. Anyway, I will play Shine next, cunt, Steph. Go and get a beer. Lighters in the air. Present screen. Share screen. We got this. Now let's look serious, not being sookie lala, crying and feeling sorry for oneself. I'm not. I'm just. It's disappointing. Ah, fuck. God damn it. At least I wasn't muted.
Isn't it all? Do you have trouble expressing what you really mean, especially under stress?
Oh, yes.
Are there some common types of communication that you find extremely difficult or uncomfortable? So phone calls or emails or SMS, for example. Many of us have a very strong preference for one of these and severely dislike and actively avoid the others. Are you sometimes very gullible, struggling to tell whether people are being serious or not? Do you often wish people would just say what they mean and get really angry when people don't say what they mean because it makes you confused and you don't know what's going on?
Pause.
So,
okay, I'm going to say here, preface some things here. Some of this stuff for me personally, and I can only speak for myself, I get what people mean all the time to the point that I fucking know what people mean, and don't be trying to fuck with me. Don't bullshit me. I feel it. I've spent a lifetime being so highly empathic that I know things. But some people, and so I'm so highly perceptive to the stuff. I very rarely miss stuff except in text when people are being funny and someone's like, oh, wait. But if I don't know what they mean, I'm like, what do you mean? I don't understand. That. Carry on, man.
In terms of sensory issues, are you particularly sensitive to some things? Maybe lights, noise, taste, smell? And does this lead to significant discomfort in some typical public places and situations, which means that participation in some social activities becomes very difficult or restricted? Do you feel like dealing with the outside world can be difficult and stressful, and you often have significant anxiety about having to go out and face it? Do you often notice things that others don't?
Pause. Yes, all the time. Autistic people tend to take things very, very literal. Oh my God. It's I do, but I had a friend who took everything. I don't, but I had a friend who took everything literally. I'm very good with I use like facetiousness and not sarcasm so much, but tongue-in-cheek stuff quite often, and can get it a lot of the time. It's in, which is ironic for me, really, because I prefer to text than talk if we're talking about phone communications. In text, I might miss it and take things literally, but not in IRL stuff. But again, it's your word "tend" there is the operative word, I think, Rita. And it's important to not make sweeping generalizations, which tend is very good, very good.
Don't. And sometimes things seem obvious to others that are not obvious to you, and you're kind of left there thinking, where is everyone getting this information from? How do they all know this thing? And it just seemed to not, I just missed the memo that everyone else seemed to get. Do you have uncommon interests or passions that you wish you could share with others, but they just don't get? Instead, they might be interested in other things that you're just not interested in at all, which makes small talk and talking with other people really challenging at times.
Pause. Back to that conversation, was it last week when Nick asked, I think, or Chat asked about whether my peasant work colleagues know about me. Like, hello, don't you know who I am? I'm Miss Shorty. And trying to explain to them the shit I do on the weekends. They're like, wait, what? Why? Like, why? I don't know, man. It's just what I do. I love it. I love that shit. I do think you're right there, Rita. There are the cultural differences even between the States and Australia in terms of our sense of humour styles. sometimes, but not always. I think most of this community, we all kind of get each other, but we've been drawn to each other because we're similar in personality and quirks. That's not to say that everybody's autistic, though, obviously, because shit.
Do you find that dealing with other people can be really difficult or confusing, especially confusing? And you often find yourself overanalyzing situations before and after, trying to sort of figure out what the best thing to do would be rather than relying on your instincts. Do you feel like it's your job to fit in order to find friends? And that if you did a better job in fitting in, maybe you'd find more friends and have better relationships?
I don't want more friends. I'm happy with the friends I've got. I just like to keep some friends. Keep y'all. I want to keep y'all. Can I pet that dog? I don't know about you, but I feel like most of this community would be of the opinion that a small group of good, very small group, keep my circle tight, right, of good friends is far better. Quality over quantity, yes. I can't be any different. Exactly, Steph. I'm just me. We're just us. And most of us, I think, are of the age where trying to be different to get other people. But perhaps in the earlier years, if we could throw our minds back to, yes, those are the things that I worried about when I was a kid, for sure. Right. Now I give no fucks. Right. Correct. Same.
Do you find that when
Kathy,
socializing,
thanks.
you
I'm
constantly
a cool
make
person.
sure, constantly thinking about,
Cool,
I
but
need to
weird?
make sure I'm not going to do the wrong thing? Either censoring yourself, filtering, masking, even with friends, because you're not sure if the real you is appropriate. And if you showed them what you're really thinking or what you'd really like to be doing, then you'd be seen as somehow odd or perhaps risk rejection.
I am odd.
Do you often feel overwhelmed by other people's emotions?
Yes.
Or do you hardly feel emotions at all and people are surprised that you're not reacting in the way that they expected you to react? Are you often surprised when people tell you what they're thinking and feeling because you just had absolutely no idea until they actually told you? Have you been periodically labelled with either depression or anxiety or a number of other diagnoses that either keep changing or just don't quite seem to fit? And people are always looking for a better explanation because there's something there, something different, and we just can't put our finger on what it is. These things that I've mentioned are very common autistic experiences. They are just some of the common autistic experiences. It was actually really hard to pick a finite list because I could have picked 100 different questions, but I've tried to pick the 25 that I thought were most useful, so I hope you've found them relatable. And if you're thinking that this is you, I would strongly encourage you to take the possibility that you might be on the spectrum seriously.
I do.
And back to my number one piece of advice that I always give is that meeting other people on the spectrum is probably the best way to learn about autism, right? It's not always immediately obvious what we have in common, but once you get to know us, you'll get a sense of what we all share, and then you'll be able to answer the question of if you have that too. So anyway, I hope you found this video helpful. As I said in last week's video, the most reliable way to know for sure if you're on the spectrum or not, especially at the beginning, is if you can relate very strongly to the inner experience of another autistic person who you know to be on the spectrum, and they have shared with you their experience and you think, yes, that's me, I completely identify with that as well. Now, this won't be your experience with every autistic person, and that's why I recommend reading resources, reading books written by autistic people, blogs, videos, and I put some resources in last week's video for that, so I won't go through them again. So thanks again for watching. Whether or not you're on the spectrum, I wish you all the best for your journey of self-discovery. And finally, please consider supporting this channel on Patreon so I can keep answering more of your questions.
Sir, I'm just glad that you changed your channel name from Asperger's, whatever it was called. Asperger's from the inside to autism from the inside, because praise the Lord. Let me see. What do we get for time? You know what? I think this guy is crappy. Kathy, it was 5 years ago. He's still as crappy these days. He's all right. But how about we do some Dr. Ramini? Because Dr. Ramini, and I found this really interesting. Very, 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 very relatable. Strongly relatable throughout your life. I hate when people are just so dismissive about it. Like, who the fuck are you to tell me? That's me. I say I can be a little bit of a know-it-all, and I know that. I know it's not hugely endearing, but I do know a lot of things. I don't know it all. Dr. Ramini, this is really, really interesting. Reminder, the stuff that she says in the middle about, and she talks about how broad a conversation this is, the difference between autism and narcissism. She acknowledges that, and she's the cat's mother. Dr. Ramini perhaps references some of the things that Gina Rippon at the beginning, the first video we watched, the lost girls of autism, that perhaps the research that Dr. Ramini did for this video was a little skewed, but the beginning and the end, it's only a couple of minutes in this half an hour vid, and then we'll wrap it up. It's only a little bit that is like, I didn't relate to some of it when she's sort of talking about autistic folks and what it means to be autistic. So pretend she's talking about autistic guys, men, males. Hi, Dr. Ramini. It's been a little while. It's been a minute. I've missed you. I like your regrowth, girl.
Dr. Ramini. So, okay, this is actually probably the most difficult video that I have tried to put together to date. This particular video has actually required lots of research. I'm spending a few months on this one, lots of reading, pondering, review of case notes, review of clinical and theoretical writings. But it also is probably, this video answers, or takes on at least, the question we have received most from viewers and from people emailing and requesting content. But this topic is also really personal for me because someone very, very dear to me, probably one of the most important people in my life, lives with autism. So for me, getting this right is incredibly important to me, and it's why I've put in the work, but I really, really want to clear up the questions a lot of people have been struggling with. The question that has come up over and over and from so many people is, can you please explain the differences between autism spectrum disorder and narcissistic personality styles? So a lot of people are seeing overlaps. They want to understand those differences.
Akasha says, oh shit, I've watched so many of her stuffs. Same. We have a whole psychology corner playlist, and it's basically all Dr. Ramini. Love 1010. It's all about narcissist stuff. And I thought it would be interesting to see whether Dr. Ramini had anything on just autism. She doesn't. But this I thought was very interesting and worthwhile to watch. It's from 3 years ago. This is the only video she's got, as far as I could find.
The differences. Now, let me open up by saying there's so little research on this particular question. You'd think there'd be more, but there's actually really not. So it was interesting for me cobbling together reading and theoretical research on narcissism, research on autism spectrum, and there were a couple of research studies, a few bits of research out there that connected the two. The most useful study on this I came across came from Strunz et al., and the lead investigator in that particular paper is based in Berlin. The paper's from 2015,
hi, Timely
so it's
Manor,
pretty
yes.
recent. Other papers looking...
So, Timely Manor, hi, good to see you. We love having you here. Bit of Dr. Ramini to talk about the differences or between narcissism and autism, with a little bit in the middle that's a little... off, but I understand why. Definitely, Timely Manor, if you've got a chance, go back and watch the replay crew at the start of the show, because we've had some really good conversations. Timely, how timely of you, right? Love it.
Looking at this question, look at much finer grained kind of points. So I'm going to try to integrate all of this in the most understandable way, not be too professory and too teachy, but try to make this point as clearly as possible. Now, I'm also aware that this is a video on YouTube and it's not a scientific lecture or a university course. So I'm trying to find a balance between clarity and accuracy here. So bear with me. So let's start with clarity, okay? just for clarity's sake, narcissism. Anyone watching this channel, you know what this is. It's lack of empathy, entitlement, grandiosity, envy, validation seeking,
Kathy. Better late than never.
superficiality, egocentricity, shame, feelings of inadequacy, in an inaccurate sense of sort of an overblown self-esteem or an inaccurate self-esteem, impulsivity, manipulation, arrogance, sensitivity to rejection, sensitivity to feedback, dysregulated rage, a sense of victimhood. You know,
Pause. I'm going to use I'm just going to say the pirate, covert narcissist through and through, and also, I believe, autistic. Absolutely going to diagnose from my chair of zero medical training. But that covert narcissist, vulnerable narcissist, yes, yes, yes.
you know this, right? The empathy deficits in narcissism are quite variable, okay? So at times, a narcissistic person may actually be excessively attuned to other people, usually in what we call an instrumental way. So you basically, a narcissistic person, if they want something from you, they can turn on the empathy long enough to get what they need from you. So empathy then becomes something they can use to get supply. Relationships for narcissistic people are largely viewed transactionally. I'm going to give you something so I can get something. Intimacy is very shallow. Relationships help narcissistic people regulate themselves because relationships are a source of supply. And the relationships really exist only to serve the narcissist's needs with very little interest in the other person. Narcissistic relationships are characterized by arrogance, deceitfulness, callousness. However, a narcissistic person is able to be, and many of you know this quite well, to be quite charming, confident, and charismatic, especially at times when there is a need for personal gain. Narcissistic folks tend to be quite extroverted, and that extroversion helps them quite a bit because they need to draw and attract other people for narcissistic supply. This is all the stuff you know. Vulnerable narcissism can actually muddy the waters of understanding narcissism a little bit. Vulnerable narcissism is all the stuff of narcissism, but with a more socially anxious, introverted presentation. Vulnerable narcissism tends not to be pretentious and charismatic, doesn't tend to be as superficially showy, but it's an interesting kind of a game there because people who are vulnerable narcissists will often have a really grudging contempt for those who have all that superficial showy stuff.
Totally.
In a strange way, the vulnerable narcissistic people may want it. They often don't have it. They have contempt for people who do, or even for people who value it, even though they do, right? Vulnerable narcissists tend to be sullen, quite victimized. There's lots of deflection of blame, little ability to take responsibility, lots of tendency to blame the world for their misfortunes. And the rage we see in vulnerable narcissism tends to be very ruminating and passive-aggressive. So now let's talk about what autism is, or autism spectrum disorders are.
So, grain of salt.
Autism is a neurodevelopmental disorder which impacts social and verbal communication and interpersonal and social interactions. The DSM defines it according
Akasha, have a look in the drawer in the Fight Club in Discord, the narcissist drawer. I can say tweet. I post a lot of snippets on all different types of narcissism in that drawer. That things that I come across on the YouTubes and the Twitters. And I'd only ever come across malignant and grandiose narcissists in my very, very extensive experience with those ones. So when one came along who wasn't those things, who was actually a vulnerable and covert narcissist, it didn't present to me, that person didn't present to me as being a narcissist. Not so obviously red flaggy, right? Hi, Buster. It's a nice cuddle. Oh, kiss too. But now even this, what Dr. Ramini talks about here, it's still me going, oh yeah, tick, 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 I'll fucking tick on the pirate, right?
according to deficits in social communication and interaction. And this can be things like having difficulty maintaining conversations, not sharing emotions, difficulty with social behaviors such as eye contact, difficulty understanding the
Heavy with the
emotional
like.
worlds of other people,
Not because we like
or a
narcissists,
lack of
because you like
interest
me
in relationships.
and Poppy.
Second is that we in autism is we
Thanks,
may see
fellas.
patterns of behavior that may be restricted.
Colours not a mod, doing mod things. Nice work, Colours. Blue suits you.
Or repetitive, like repetitive behaviors or repetitive vocalizations, inflexible routines, really fixated interests.
So these are very stereotypical traits and characteristics. So you can smooth them out a little bit. It's not a cookie cutter, right? But Dr. Ramini does preface these things as tend to, as per Rita used that verbiage before, and so she's just going with the tend to, the sort of the tropes. The tropes. They're kind of autistic tropes, right?
Reactivity to certain
Research-based.
sensory inputs like noises in the environment, or a fixation on something like a sensitivity, maybe even being fascinated by something like a light. These patterns are present from an early age, typically under age 3, and in most cases can cause significant impairments in functioning. Now, in some individuals with autism spectrum disorders, there can be significant intellectual impairments, while in others, no such impairments are manifested or are present. The origins of autism are being explored widely by researchers, with research suggesting a genetic or a heritable component, dysfunction in the mirror neuron system in the brain, and issues related to theory of mind, which have all been suggested. Also research looking at differences in brain waves, and these all connect to the theories around mirror neurons and issues with specific brain
Okay.
structures.
She's
That is a
intense.
brief definition. Again, there's much more out there on autism you could read to get a
Much
deeper
more.
dive into that. But the real question of this video I was trying to take on, is why do people think there is an overlap between narcissism and autism?
So this is where it
Question
gets
keeps coming up.
Yes.
Now, for the purposes of the narcissism versus autism distinction, I'm going to be making a presumption in this video, okay? We're going to need to start from the presumption that people who have, we're talking about people who have autism, who have normal or high levels of intellectual function, which something that's often called high functioning autism spectrum disorders in the
Or level
literature,
1.
okay? So we're not talking about people with significant intellectual impairment. Now, a big part of why people inquire about the overlap between autism spectrum disorders and narcissism clearly relates to the empathy deficits that are observed in both autism and in narcissism. The social processing issues that characterize autism can result in interactions with individuals who are living with autism that may be experienced as though that the person with autism is lacking empathy or any kind of regard for the other person in the interaction. And we'll talk more about that. Now, in addition, other qualities of individuals with autism include things like straightforwardness. And straightforwardness is this concept of simply saying what they think or believe or observe. That kind of straightforward communication can feel unfiltered or even hurtful. In general terms, people often judge people with autism and narcissism. In both cases, they're often viewed as being self-focused, again, lacking that empathy. Now, some of the best work I have read or seen differentiating narcissism and autism comes from this research study by Strunz, who's in Berlin, and her colleagues. So let's start with the empathy issue, because again, that tends to be sort of the pivot around which all of this spins. There is a suggestion that people with autism spectrum disorders are not able to easily recognize or identify emotion in either themselves or in others. This inability is in line.
Pause, Dr. Ramini. Gonna have to disagree with you there, given that I can very strongly, readily, and accurately pinpoint my emotion. But we're not talking about cookie cutters here. So, Steph, you trigger my fawn response. What's the other one? Fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. There it is.
With something that's called problems with cognitive empathy. Cognitive empathy is the ability to understand and label a feeling. People who are narcissistic tend to have fully intact, their cognitive empathy works. They understand feelings, but they don't value or care about the feelings of other people, and they have little interest in them. In that way, it appears that the empathy issues for individuals with autism spectrum may actually be sort of earlier in the pipeline. For a person living with autism, there is actually an inability to identify feelings or emotions in themselves or others. That's that cognitive empathy.
Pause. That's that trope. Strongly disagree, Dr. Ramini, but I'm going to give you a pass because I love you and you generally know what's what.
Piece. The narcissism issue is much farther up the pipeline. Narcissistic people know emotions, they understand emotions and feelings, they can identify them. They can identify them in other people, but they just aren't always interested in them. There's a difference, okay? And I hope that that difference makes sense. Another difference that has been suggested by the research also relates to the introversion-extroversion dimension. In the research, consistently what has been suggested, not surprisingly, individuals with autism spectrum disorder always had lower extroversion scores than narcissistic individuals. So there's a very introverted element to autism spectrum. People with autism spectrum disorder also tend to be less novelty seeking. They're not as interested in new things or new experiences or new feelings. While that kind of openness to novelty, the next new thing, is something we definitely observe in narcissism. Novelty seeking.
So remember, she's saying tend to. There are some absolutes that Dr. Ramini is putting into the conversation that I don't love, but overall, I'm happy.
Seeking is very much a part of the narcissistic picture, as is reward seeking, doing things that feel good, right? The people who are
Well, Colours says, I think that there is so much different kinds of autism, they should technically be other things, so it's not so confusing. Or it's just that there are some similarities and some defining features, but that there's no cookie cutter. I don't find it confusing, but I have done a lot of like watching and reading and observing of all these things and interacting with plenty of neurodivergent folks and not. And so I've come to be able to see, okay, I can see that similar, but that not. I can see that relates to me, but that doesn't. So, but there is clusters, I think. And yay, hi Chloe Albert. Guess what? Coming as of Thursday night your time, thanks for dropping by, I'll be doing nightly recaps of Karen Reid Trial version 2, probably 8, maybe 9 Eastern for 10 nights. I got 10 nights off work. Thanks, universe. Good timing. So hopefully you'll be able to stop by in some of those chats as well. Sweet dreams. Sweet dreams. Laura says a discussion on autism and sex would be interesting. What are you trying to do to my YouTube algorithm, Laura? Let me write that down. I've also want to do some demand avoidance stuff and a few other things. And next week, it probably won't be on Saturday night, but one night, maybe Sunday night, we're going to do the good things about autism because Colours wanted to know about that rather than all the woes and the hardships. So
who are living with autism spectrum disorder are open to new intellectual experiences, but not so much to open to new feelings or inner feelings. This also relates to something that's called alexithymia, a fancy word that really gets at the inability to name emotions. That alexithymia is observed in autism spectrum. It's sometimes observed in narcissism, but in narcissism, when we see that incapacity to name emotion, It seems to be more than of a psychological defense than a real deficit in social processing, like we see in autism. So when there are overlapping dynamics between autism and narcissism, the thing that drives those dynamics tends to be very different in a person who is narcissistic and a person who has autism spectrum disorder. So things may sometimes look similar, but the thing that drives them is quite different. Now, interestingly, if we're looking at other personality dimensions and issues, people with autism spectrum disorder tend to have higher levels of conscientious.
Well, Alice the Dragon comes in with a suggestion on the sex front. I will, absolutely. I've got so many things here, but this.
I have 2 words. Do it. Do it. I'd love that.
Y'all are trying to get me cancelled? No, I'm joking. I think all these conversations are important. Absolutely. Color says, Alice, no thanks. Lol. Colors doesn't like boobs. So, Ay. Have you watched Author Kate with Chris and Debbie? That's coming up in my suggested feeds on the tubes. Gosh, I need another brain and another set of ears and eyes and probably another whole 24 hours a day to get all this stuff. But I will absolutely look in. Next time I see them, I'll subscribe and look into some of their stuff. Interesting. Alice is like, yes, AJ, lol. I got fake boobies. Same. Do what makes you happy. Always. Titties, boobs. Tullers doesn't like boobs because she's been doing some breastfeeding for a while. Yeah, boobs. I like Chris and Debbie. That is what 1.5x is for. For boobs? Oh, dirty paws on Dr. Ramini. Sorry, Dr. Ramini. Hey, shall we? No, we won't. Carry on, Dr. Ramini. Clicking shit on my second monitor. Sorry, Dr. Ramini. Kathy is not going to like this look on Dr. Ramini.
Consciousness than narcissistic individuals. And we see the biggest differences relating to things around order, things being in a certain order, and discipline and dutifulness, like following rules and doing the things that are required of them. People with autism spectrum are very, very sort of focused on doing those things right and in order. That's quite different in narcissism. Now, in some narcissistic individuals, we may see this need and lots of control around this concept of order, but it's in this way that there's a demand that other people or the world around them is as organized and things are done exactly and precisely the way the narcissist wants. These demands are often antagonistic and demanding, and that precise need for order from a narcissistic person typically reflects a way of maintaining dominance and control, a different function than we see in autism spectrum. And for autism spectrum folks, they tend to be much more willing to do things in a dutiful, follow the rules, right? The straightforwardness we see in autism spectrum, that's another big issue because it can be experienced as hurtful by other people. A person just coming out and saying the thing that they observed or witnessed. Now, the challenge there comes to those down to those deficits in emotional processing we see in autism spectrum. When someone with autism spectrum disorder just comes out and says something that literally reflects the experience that they were having, they also have an inability or an impaired ability, again, due to those social processing deficits, to consider the impact of those words. They just say it. Now, in narcissism, when hurtful words come out, there's often an impulsivity, a knowledge. They know that the words could hurt, but there's a relative indifference to that impact for the narcissist. They don't care. Like, I said it. All right, fine. It hurt you. Okay. Oh, well.
Indifference verging on intent, right?
Whatever. Narcissistic people, we know that they're sometimes able to contain themselves when it's strategic, right? So the narcissistic person won't blurt out something and just say anything, even if it's just straightforward at a boss. Why? Because they want to stay in good regard with the boss or someone else they're trying to impress. But they'll be very sort of straightforward and say that whatever, even difficult toxic words to someone they may deem as less important, like a partner or a family member. Now, impulsivity is another place where narcissism and autism spectrum diverge. Impulsivity is very much a part of the picture of narcissism and all antagonistic personality
God,
styles.
Nick, lordy dordy. This is in reference. I just let the dogs out. Oh my God, Nick, you're fucking hilarious. Wait, what does it say? My little beboop, my little boopop is very rough and scratches them when he nurses. I have trauma. Okay, and then Nick says, "Oh, Nick, sorry, Dr. Ramini. Oh, Nick, fuck, you are funny, funny
It's not a
man.
deal breaker, but I'd like to know. Thank you.
What? Handle colors with kid gloves, Nick."
But it is not something we would observe in autism spectrum disorder. In fact, individuals living with autism may be very, very deliberate in what they say and in what they do, and often in
Oh, colors. We've had this conversation so many times on this channel. This is like right. I can see that with you, but not so much hurtful to others, but things that can actually cause problems for you with others, like they use it against you. Yeah. And they're like, oh my God, like, I can't believe she said that, because people don't want to hear truths. People aren't used to hearing straightforwardness. And so then those home truths that I'm going to deliver as kindly as possible, not all, sometimes it's not kind because what I'm saying is fucking hard to hear for that person. But my emotional support supreme leader, it does cause problems. People will be like, I'm not hearing that. She's a bitch. She's a lot meaner than she lets on, right? That's what they say about me, have said about me, they being the monkeys. Nice. No, it's not me being mean. It's me just being straightforward. And if the fact that you don't like what I had to say, and these aren't unreasonable things that those folk were opining on or accusing me of in a private but not so private forum, no, that's on them. That's a you problem. But it does come down to being a me problem when I'm just being me, right? Wow, none of the more of the foo-foo stuff. Dr. Ramini, sorry, dirty paws.
in a very well-ordered kind of, patterned way. This is quite different than narcissism, where things are said and done impulsively with little regard for consequence. And then if the thing is something that hurts other people, the narcissistic person will get angry that other people are upset with them because of the impulsive thing they said that they said or did, and they're upset that people want to hold them accountable. So in autism spectrum, those empathy deficits, as it were, those
You are not
abrupt
rude.
words, those straightforward words that can feel so direct as to be hurtful. Again, I'm going to repeat this. They reflect the social processing deficits in autism.
Dr. Ramini's cat.
Something occurring at the level.
Pause. Rita, I'm not sure who gifted you, and I didn't see it come in. It might not have been in this stream. Steph and Shandwan have been having a battle of the. It's been a carnival game of gifting memberships. But yeah, you've got the old the cool emotes to use in the chat, whatever you like. Akasha says. Then don't ask me if you do not want to hear the actual answer, right? I've got so many videos lined up and we will never get to them, but I think it was Orion Kelly going, oh, I've got it in here. It's in the description box. We won't watch it tonight. We might watch it another time. But basically, so what, you want me to just soften things and sugarcoat them? Well, but then, so you don't want to hear the truth. So why would you ask then? Or like, why? Because you just want me to lie? Well, why? Because people generally lie to themselves. They're not honest with themselves, and they're and then they don't like hearing the truth, right? Correct. But like some of us would not say anything. I can't not say anything. That's one of my two of faults, autisticness. I actually like it like I can't not say anything. Like I'm turning over at the moment something I have to say to someone. It's going to be a difficult conversation. I have a feeling it's the shit is already out of the horse, and that it's not going to have any impact whatsoever, and it's devastating for me. But I can't not say anything because you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, right? Oh, I see what you mean. You didn't say thank you. Well, I didn't even notice when it was. And I don't know who it was, Rita, but yay, bravo. What the fuck says, Rita, you were gifted in, it says the profiler, you were gifted in the last stream, I believe, if you want to go back and check the replay. There was a bunch of people did sort of single ones. See you, Laura, stay warm. Steph, wouldn't that be just a twist of fate? Unbronzed Aussie Laura, it's only 2:38 for her, so... No, we love random. Have you met us? Hi, Life Artist. We're the randoms of all the randoms. We're the band of randoms. Random bandom. That's us.
Level of the central nervous system. And it's here we see this really complex interweaving, like I said, of mirror neurons, limbic system activation, autonomic nervous system, and a lacking of this sort of idea of the theory of mind. Now, people who are hearing this straightforward stuff can experience this as selfish. However, the research also suggests that individuals...
Absolutely, Alice Dragon. I said this at the start of the stream, but I'll say it again now because we've got some new people. If you or anybody would like to better sleep better, I can't recommend these: melatonin, lavender, magnesium, valerian root, GABA, hops, natural sleep patches. They are so good. So good. So good. Do you know what? Someone's clipped me laughing, one of those lovely folk, the friends, the Germans, clipped me and said, witch cackle. Yeah, that's fine. I just laugh. Like, imagine being so surly and bitter in life that you're going to pick on how someone laughs. I can't remember why the shit was out of the horse either. Something about horses and shit. Yikes. I laugh like a turkey and a witch.
With autism spectrum disorder are actually quite modest.
Sweet
they
dreams, Alice. Thank you for being here.
They don't have the processing, the social skills to be manipulative. They're not callous, and they're not invalidating. The empathy deficits in narcissism appear to be more defensive and self-protective. They often reflect a combination of disregard for the feelings and experiences of other people, despite the fact that the narcissistic person has intact cognitive empathy. They do understand the experiences of other people. So that part for them works. The inadequacy and insecurity at the core of narcissism means that many defenses are employed to protect their egos, right? These defenses are things like grandiosity, projection, entitlement, arrogance, distorted self-esteem. Motivationally, the narcissistic individual wants to maintain power and control. Again,
boom. Sorry, Dr. Ramini. Colors also, by the way, on these sleep patches. Missy Mayhem just bought some, so they're absolutely available in the States as well. So off Amazon. I just got them off Amazon.
The hedge against that fragile ego. Themes such as entitlement, grandiosity, arrogance, validation seeking, envy, self-victimization, these are not part of the autism spectrum picture in any way. To be able to manipulate, to gaslight, to be charismatic and charming in public, and then be able to rage at someone in private, even in the car on the way home or behind closed doors when nobody is watching, requires significant interpersonal and strategic awareness. That kind of social processing is not something we would see in somebody living with autism spectrum disorders. The stress of these impairments in interpersonal and social functioning and the subsequent
Motion to screen, what the fuck granted. Question. Lisa, do you have one of those Amazon things where people can buy off a list of things you recommend and then you get a few cents per purchase? It was on the list of things to do in Team Shorty. Unfortunately, the list proved too overwhelming for my helper at the time. And so, no, it's definitely something I'd like to do, but no, just buy it. I would make myself a lot of money off one of those lists, just saying.
challenges can often be manifested as social anxiety and even negative mood states such as depression in people living with autism spectrum disorders. In contrast, the extroversion that we observe in most people with narcissism means that by and large, social interactions are not stressful for them. In fact, they want them. If the social interactions evoke shame, then the fallout would be rage, not necessarily anxiety. Shame is not likely to be a primary state in autism spectrum disorder, largely because shame is driven by an assessment of what other people think about a person. And since the theory of mind is limited in people with autism spectrum disorder, that sense that other people are judging them badly is not that likely to be pronounced. If the only deficit you are experiencing...
I'm going to push back on that a little bit too, Dr. Ramini. I'm hyper aware of a perception of rejection or judgment, but that's rejection sensitivity dysphoria, right? Which is very common in autistic folk, neurodivergent folk. So I think that's autism is not Dr. Ramini's specialty. Narcissism is. So I'm going to forgive her on that one to say that there's maybe not shame, but confusion, perhaps. Confusion as to why our interactions might have, our being we autistic folk, neurodivergent, might have resulted in like, what the fuck? Not you, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck? What the fuck? Yeah, RSD. It's a lot, y'all. I'm less and less obsessing over rejection. She says, having just written a gut-wrenching song about basically exactly that. I'm fine. Nothing's burning down around me. We're good.
Experiencing with a person is an empathy deficit. And there is no evidence of entitlement or manipulation or charm and charisma or grandiosity or validation seeking or arrogance. There's a possibility that you may be more likely to be in the presence of someone who has patterns consistent with autism spectrum disorder. Ultimately, this isn't your call to make. Okay, this is now we're talking about something diagnostic. Now, perhaps
I never do that. I would never do that.
Pattern knows this about themselves. Perhaps they may need to get assessed. But going back again to this lack of empathy, the lack of empathy in the absence of all the other bells and whistles of narcissism speaks more to a social processing deficit rather than the ego protective and antagonistic defensive structure that is narcissism. People with autism spectrum disorder have have enough cognitive empathy, okay? It's not completely non-existent. They have enough of it to be aware that to say or to do a hurtful thing is not okay. They're not driven by that. And they're not indifferent to knowing that they harmed someone when they're told about it. In fact, individuals with autism spectrum disorder may often be quite genuinely remorseful and sad at learning.
Yes, CEG, waiting for that fall. Remorseful and sad. Do I plead my case or do I just let it go? Give you space. Shelley says, sidebar, Ryan gave me his hand-me-down earphones. Oh my God, they are amazeballs. What are they? Mine are just cheapos. Cheapos, $25 on Amazon. and then I have noise cancelling over ears for those times. Ugh, same. Not about the earphones, I'm sure. About the remorse, the devastation in realizing that one's straightforwardness or openness or honesty or frankness, that unfilteredness, has caused another person hurt or made them feel icky. Like, it's hard. But intentions kind of don't matter, in my opinion. The outcome, the result is the same. The sidebars in chat.
Learning that
killing
they
me
may
with your
have
Catholic
caused
talk.
harm to another person through their words or through their straightforwardness. And given such feedback, will check in and apologize and try to learn to do better. A person with narcissism, on the other hand, will either be dismissive or minimizing or contemptuous. If a person said, hey, the thing you just told me hurt me, they're not going to care. Big difference between the two. There are other issues I know and other questions people may have, such as whether autism spectrum and narcissism can co-occur. Yes, they can. It's a very complex issue. I will
I'm so happy
try
for you,
at
Sally.
some
That's
point in the
awesome.
future to cover that in another video because that gets complicated. It can happen. It's pretty rare, but it definitely can happen.
So pause.
I do know
sorry,
that
Dr. Ramini. I was talking over the top of her. She talks about those times if there's a possibility that a neurodivergent person, an autistic person, can also be a narcissist. 1 quadrillion percent. 1 quadrillion percent. I don't think it's as rare as Dr. Ramini feels. And it muddies the waters. It muddies the waters. Oh, you're talking about okay, now I get it. The dual conversation. Yikes. I'm confusion. So anyway, Dr. Ramani is wrapping it up, and then we can
that
just go be
many
feral,
people out there
and then
will
wrap it up.
often attempt to subsume narcissistic patterns in someone they know under the potential banner of autism spectrum. Just be careful about doing that. These again, it's very nuanced.
I must admit, I spend quite a bit of time either privately or outwardly psychoanalyzing the people that I find perplexing, people in my life. I like fuck around and find out. I'll go all guns blazing, but Nerf guns, right? Not actual bullets. And my probing questions and opining tends to uncover whether we're talking narcissism or autism. Usually ends up being narcissism in those situations.
To just
Okay. Shelley used her phone light. We need to know. Inquiring Minds. They are Steel series, but I don't know the actual kind. Bang, bang, pull up, bitch. Boom. And then Timely Matter says, my church is out in nature. I'm all about believing in the universe. Organized religion ain't my jam.
just make it about lack of empathy really misses the massive differences between these patterns. Again, over focusing on just those empathy deficits, and also misses that many, if not most people with higher functioning autism spectrum disorders, despite the social processing issues, are open and willing to receive feedback and not react with rage when feedback is given. Cognitive dissonance for people who are experiencing any kind of unempathic relationship can mean that if the lack of empathy could be understood through more of a central nervous system issue or a neurodevelopmental disorder such as autism, then maybe there is sort of a different kind of hope and justification. But to do so is actually to do a disservice to those living with autism spectrum disorders. And to do so can mean actually that people aren't getting the right help and might even keep people stuck in antagonistic relationships that they're mislabeling incorrectly. I do hope that this video gives a tentative glimpse into a very complex question that many people have had. I've attempted to bring in what we know about origins, the phenomena, the similarities, the differences, and the confusion. And another thing to also keep in mind, developmentally, autism spectrum patterns are manifested at a very, very young age. Again, under 3. We would not see that in an individual's narcissism. I mean, all little kids are selfish, right? That's the nature of the child is separating and individuating. That's the hard work of childhood. They have to be focused on themselves. The child is trying to develop. So it's a whole different game because those autism spectrum patterns would have manifested earlier. Our ability to be able to identify and diagnose autism spectrum has obviously jumped in quantum leaps in the last 10 to 20 years, which is why people who are older, over 40 or 50, maybe even over 30, may have been missed in early developmental assessment. So but it is not beyond the pale, and I've worked with some people in the field who really do work on the diagnosis of autism spectrum in adulthood. But I hope this, again, keeping that in mind, the developmental pictures are different, everything's quite different. We can't get lost in just that one overlap of lack of empathy. Lack of empathy by itself does not a narcissist make. It goes a lot deeper than that. I'm sure some of you will have comments. I do hope I've answered this as respectfully and holistically and completely as possible. And I do hope this answers this question for many of you who've asked it. Thank you again.
Thank you, Dr. Ramini. I love you. Now, no.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
Although Colby Ryan, hi, love you, but no. No, she said people 40, 50, even 30 or older. She didn't mean are older. She meant people over 30 might have been missed being diagnosed. Now, I would like to say that I think there's another question to be asked in that self-absorbedness, not the empathy deficit, because I don't have no empathy deficit. I have an empathy. I have a dempathy. I have an empathy surplus, and I think a lot of you in chat would think the same thing. Would be in the same boat. I think that another question that Dr. Ramani might need to address is that self-absorbedness, that seeming, that sort of egocentric nature that people often assume that when we autistic folk talk about ourselves in conversation to relate to the other person, where when someone tells you a story or relays something to you and you go, hey, yeah, I identify with that, and we say how we show our empathy by sharing an experience that we feel mirrors or comes close to what the other person is talking about. And I think that's something that Dr. Ramani possibly could cover at another time. I'll let her know. We're besties. Pink moon is a big full moon. It's coming in tonight. Yes. Pink moon is appropriate for trial 2.0. Agreed. So chat, we did it. Thank you so much for another amazing night. Let me take out these bad boys. My earballs are saying, yeah, that's enough now of that. Pink moon is pretty cool. Big, bright full moon. Simi says 100% timely, and April Fools for jury selection. Seems like the universe has eyes on Canton. You are trying to relate to the other person, exactly. But often that's seen as being self-absorbed, which is a misunderstanding, I think, of the true meaning of or criteria for like clinical narcissists versus someone who's narcissistic in their love of themselves, self-absorbedness. Rita says, oh my God, this is absolutely true. This is also ADHD trait. Well, it's a neurodivergent trait. Yes. And the neurotypicals are like, hey, she just wants to talk about herself. She only wants to talk about herself. No, I'm showing you that I am empathizing with you. I'm relating. Like, frustrating. So then what? We don't talk about it. Then we just stand there going, I don't know what to say there. Full moon was amazing this evening. Yes. Chat is Bay. I have said earballs for my whole life. Oh, Kasha, last time you said that to me, I didn't realize you were saying, oh my God, I say earballs too. I just thought you meant, I've never heard anyone say earballs before, but you meant same, girl, same. And it was snowing, Steph. And I had MS. We're not mocking any MS. Princey also has MS, our beloved Prince lover. We just find it interesting that Jennifer McCabe in the Karen Reid trial threw in, and I had MS. It's just like, girl, okay. And the narcissist is trying to one-up you. Yes. She's an honest and truthful person. My hands were cold. It was snowing. So what then? Are you supposed to say, if you say nothing? That is also weird. So you're just supposed to nod and smile. Well, I think that's the thing. I think many neurotypicals just want you to listen to their dot point story, not ask any questions, because I love details, right? So I'm all about asking. I'm so interested. Like, I'm listening. I'm interested. Tell me more. Like, my brain went, oh, wow, how did that happen? And the same way I tell a story is how I listen to a story. So I think what many neurotypicals want is for you to allow them to simply tell you what they're going to tell you in a very dot point, like synopsis way, nod and smile, and then, I don't know, go back to talking about the weather. I'm not sure. And yes, with the earballs. Good. Same. Want to have shine? Want to have a song? I know you do. It's everyone's favorite. Let me just do a bit of fucking scrolling. What the fuck? Motion to screen. What the fuck? Granted has been back. She's been in my back end on StreamYard, and so she sees all the shit I'm scrolling through. So when I say, oh my God, so much to scroll through, am I right? What the fuck? There's a lot to scroll through to get from one end of the media assets to the other. And if I'm not in the right spot, I'm like, scroll. Scrolly cannoli. What the fuck? Motion to screen, what the fuck? You did such an amazing job on the countdown. I'm sure Joey also did an amazing job. I just at that point couldn't see it because I only had one screen. Now I've got two. I could look and see the number and see what I was doing. Like, wow. Hey, quick musical interlude. If you want another song, let me know. In addition to Shine. Everyone loves Shine. Let's fucking go.
Good people shine the brightest in the darkest times. And wishes are like beauty, they are vain things. Expect nothing at all, girl, but never lose hope. Walk a fine line, give me just enough rope. Shine, it's gonna be fine. Time is all mine. Fine lines, hard times make you who you are. Quitting ain't no option, girl, already come this far. Time is but a shadow in the construct of your mind. A lie unchecked becomes the truth, time after time. Ephemeral and fleeting, fortunes always meet and run in circles. Water level things, gonna be just fine. Shine, it's gonna be fine. Time is all mine. Fine lines, hard times make you who you are. But it ain't no option, girl, already come this far. Time is but a shadow in the construct of your mind. A lie unchecked becomes the truth, time after time. Ephemeral and fleeting, fortunes always meeting, run in circles, water level things, gonna be just fine. Shine, it's gonna be fine. Time is all mine. Fine lines, hard times make you who you are. But it ain't no option, girl, already come this far. Whoa, now slow down, what you gonna do? Lamplight and light. in the darkest times.
Look at them hearts go. We need a Rita. I saw that as we need a finger fuck emoji. I was like, I mean, I don't know how that's going to look. Could not possibly be the most professional emote for the members, but then I reread it again. We wrote it down. Don't you worry about that. Don't you worry about that. Well, any more songs before we sign off for another night chat? Wait, what am I doing with my life? Gosh, nobody knows. I don't know. I'm giving it a burl. Giving it a burl. I know that. No, fuck finger, like. My brain went digit with the words, like dyslexia kind of. My brain sometimes does digit word things. It doesn't scramble the letters. It scrambles like a. Yes, play those tunes. Play those tunes. Wait, what, Steph? Nixon. You liar. Not appalled at all. That's a whole different emote. Yikes. There's part of a song, says Steph, that I learned as a kid. One of the lines is something about finger banging an orangutan. Well, was that an Eminem song? I do it all the time, man. I've put things up on. There's times when someone will put something really vulnerable in the chat, and my brain, my finger fuck finger, taps on show your comment, and I'm like, that's not one for the screen. I did it to Pierre last week. Far out. Yikes. Lucky. Let me see what I can do in Canva with some sort of fuck finger shit out of the horse kind of toothpaste tube thing. I'm not sure. We'll see what I can do. I'm pretty good in Canva. And AI art. Yikes. It'll be, this does not meet our community guidelines. I'm like, wait, what? Why? How? What about this?
Don't speak too soon, let's leave us some room. We reserve the right to be feral for you. Blinking and winking, got my hand wallet out. It's a Ratchet Redemption. Gonna chase me some clout, get me to the testicle festival. Blue balls, bulls, balls, Rocky Mountain oysters. It's a test fest. I fuck, how great. Blink my lips, both sets. Shall we make it a date? Blinking and winking, got my hand wallet out. It's a Ratchet Redemption. Gonna chase me some clout. Don't speak too soon, let's leave us some room. We reserve the right to be feral for you. But is there a boo ball that we can attend? 'Cause we never ever want this feral shit to end. Moist panties, meet curtains. No, Jesus fuck chat, let's fucking go. And winking, got my hand on it out. It's a Ratchet Redemption. Gonna chase me some clout. Moist panties, need curtains. No, Jesus fuck chat, let's fucking go.
Rita, Chad, I was waiting for you to fill Rita in on the origin story of that song. One night, many moons ago, one Friday night when we used to go hella feral on Fridays, and the week before the chat had gone off the rails. It was a whole thing. It was 10 minutes of like tears streaming down our face, random, hectic, thoroughly inappropriate feral shit, right? And so the next week on that Friday, I thought I will write down some of this random feral shit and turn it into a song. And that's the thong. Colors, Steph, Shelley, all were part of those lyrics in terms of just random shit they dropped into the chat. Ham Wallet was Steph. Taryn wanted it to be called wanted Ratchet Redemption in the song. It was a whole vibe, and that song was a members only song for quite some time, because who's going to understand that without the context? Who understands it with the context? Nick, right? Blinking and Winking was Mandy Joe. Meat Curtains was me. Moist Panties. Meat Curtains is not me. Wait, let me rephrase that. That was my most vile contribution to the chat. Steph says, yes, it's moist panties, meat curtains. No, Jesus fuck chat. Let's fucking go. Speaking of Ratchet, says Steph, my sister told my mother she got crabs from a porta potty at a music festival in the late 80s. Rocky Mountain oysters. I was saying, what? It's blue balls? What are you talking about? And then everyone was clarifying for me. Colors, I think, was no, it's bull's balls. So that. Jesus fuck meat curtains was me too. I said meat curtains. Well, that was one of the ones that the pirate hated the most. He would not have it. Remember, that was from the week before. That was us. Where's Joe Schmoe? Joe Schmoe is far too decorous for this kind of thing. He just brought up Rocky Mountain oysters. I'll send him that song in a DM. He'll lose his ever-loving mind. Ham wallet and meat curtains, yes. There's also lamb fries. I mean, that's lamb's fries? Lamb's fry is brains, right? Isn't it? Beef curtains does work too, but it's meat curtains. Cattle prod the oyster ditch didn't make it into that song. Well, I mustn't have written it down, because literally everything that I wrote down went in the song. It wasn't nearly as feral as the week before. The week before, me included, were off the tracks, like dumpster fire, train wreck, feral. It was the best. Yes, rap a track. Rap us a track. Steph, I got yelled at by a fellow mod one time. Meat Hook showed up and I made a comment about that's what holds up the meat curtains. No regrets. Never. Chode, Brit. Oh, Cheryl. Had to watch Yellow Jackets and didn't even know you were on again. I didn't teleport. What? You had to take the train, but at least your train had a shower. Good to see you. There's zero romance in that song. It's literally ratchet. Like, it's ratchet. Liver. Thank you, Lamb's Fries. Liver, right? Rita says, Steph, my saying is laugh now, cry later, bitch, but I always use no remorse. I prefer, every time I see no regrets, I see no regrets. You know, there's that picture of that person who gets, is it on their forehead? A tattoo that says no regrets, RAGRETS. Hilarious. Fried, sliced and served. Yum. It was feral. Brit would have felt very uncomfortable. Brit borderline, understandably, because when we get feral, we get feral. Brit tolerates our feral uncomfortably, right, Brit? And I'm sorry. It's lucky we have other redeeming features, right? Do we? I feel like we do. You can laugh in it. Engelbert Humperdinck. I love that you knew how to spell it. is so much fucking hotter than Burt Bacharach. Please send it to him. I will. It was an era. I mean, Joe Schmoe's taking a Miss Shorty 69 notebook to court with Laurie. I dared him. We double dared him. We triple dared him. And he did it. I mean, that does make sense. I have been trying to figure out what meat hook actually means. He did explain it, and it wasn't what I thought. You can put me in whatever. You can put me in whatever, man. Yes, I have seen some of your videos. I'm tardy and slacking off on following your content. I will try to do better. Lamb's fries is lamb's balls fried. I feel like I need to go back and watch the live chat replay and jot some of this down. I feel like we need Ratchet Redemption 2. Seriously. Colors loves that song. Gosh, they're there for the meat curtains. No rabbit. No rabbits. Ragrats. I hope you didn't have to ear it, but eat it. Don't you like? I like rabbit. Wait. What have I missed? So many things. It wasn't a typo. Typo, eat, not ear. We speak fluent typo here. Don't you worry about that. Fuck yes. I say regrets because it makes my kids uncomfortable. You want Ratchet Redemption 2? I can do that. Oh, I'm here for it. God knows, look at me. The things I say live. Good Lord, you are still live. Yes, we go hard. Go hard or go home. You want to? Shelley said she'd do it tomorrow. Clear my throat. Princey, you know we just go on forever and ever because I don't want to leave. You know the most awkward thing? On my second monitor, I've got the gorgeous, delightful, and trauma-ridden Colby Ryan, Laurie Valo Daybell's glorious, beautiful inside and out son right here on my second monitor, smiling with his beautiful face while we talk the most feral shit. I feel like, I mean, hopefully Laurie's Jesus isn't watching and she doesn't portal me. 7 hours plus, Princey. Nick, did you go to the gym today? Prince, we are hyper-focused. My parents want a Maltese, but I think they mean the doggy kind. I read that. Wait, I read that as my parents are Maltese, but I think they are the doggy kind. I'm like, oof, sick burn, like sick burn. God damn it! Somebody, I'm gonna have to write this down. I deleted this twice. Fuck it. We ride hard here, Prince, and we put ourselves away wet. Prince is the one who put in Turtle Boy's chat about video Jesus. Ooh, someone's going to come at me about saying this, that she sucks hard and swallows. Prince is a fucking sick bitch. She's excellent. Oh, chat, you're amazing. I love you all very much. We ride and swallow and put ourselves away wet. Bukkake. What? Jesus. Sorry. Yikes. Prince Lover does have big Yeti energy. Thank you, Brit, for bringing us into line. How does this happen? Well, it just happens. Lamb's fry is different parts of the lamb depending on the country. It's awful. I do love crumbed brains and then barbecued. It's bloody delicious. Bukkake is the name of the track. It would be called Your Track or My Track. Mine's being called Ratchet Redemption too. Everybody loves Bukkake. Colours. So it's Colours and Brit going, ooh, this is making me uncomfortable. Ah, there's a song called Bukkake. It's a way of life, man. Hey, good. I got you, profiler. What? I need to cover my eyes. It is cover your soul. Cover your soul. Oh, Chad, I love you all so much. Okay, Nick, thank you, sir. The next couple of weeks at this stage is looking like I think it's a fucking great thumbnail for my 10 Nights of Shorty, which will be predominantly what have I done with my life? Wait, that's not what I wanted to do. iPhone. Can you see this? Karen Reed recap. It's got Spanky. I can't. I don't know. Check it out. It's on the fucking thing. It's a great thumbnail. Let me see if I can show it better. Do better, Shorty. Can you see that? Yes. It doesn't look as glary in the real world. Can I do it like this? Is this why YouTubers do this? I'm not sure. There we go. She got it, ladies and gentlemen. So every night, it's Bukkake. Just saying. Nick, Mr. Buzz Killington. Ay. Just get some Florida water, right? Yikes. So, okay, chat. Let's hive mind it. Obviously, all of the big guns are going to be doing all their things, and they'll be going for hours, and they'll be making thousands of dollars a night. That's not my point. I presume, like the young jerks, the Glare goes live later, but maybe not. Maybe he'll be trying to get in early. Recap channels for Karen Reed. Do you think 8 Eastern or 9 Eastern? For Aussies, that'll be 10. Wait, what? 11 or 12 recap. Yes, Shelley, recaps. That movie was good. Feral Friday was great. It was a bit more seriously somber and informative. Less boobs, 0 boobs, which is fine. We've all got boobs, male or female. Colours hates boobs. So what do you think, chat? Should I do 8 or 9? 8 or 9 Eastern. So what's that? My brain's just glitched. I just buffered. If 8 a.m. here is 6 Eastern, 7, 8, 11 or 12 Australia. Oh, Nick. Oof. I won't put it on the screen. Defense Diaries. Yes. 9. You reckon 9? It'll overlap with, I guess, probably. Wait, I can't remember. Does Aiden goes live every night, right? That's okay. People can go watch Aiden. That's fine. They're going to anyway. We'll do 9. So at the moment, so basically, too long don't read. Nick, planning to do nightly recaps. States in the States, it'll be Thursday, Friday, Saturday, maybe Sunday, depending on how much catching up we've got to do. All Karen Reed. In Australia, that'll be Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Basically, for 10 nights, we're doing something every night. There'll still need to be, because I've got other content, not just Karen Reed stuff, probably. So we might do on the Monday Australia or Sunday night US, we might do a non-Karen Reed night of maybe the good stuff about being neurodivergent. Colours Flights is 9. I do have a world clock time set up. I have both. Wow, my words are starting to fail me. Like they didn't in the very beginning also. I do. So right now it's in Boston, it's 1:22 a.m. and then in Central in Texas and shit, it's and some parts of Florida, it's 22 past midnight. I know the stuff. Daily highlights, lawyer you know style. Yes, recaps. Yes. Really were boob spoiled. You don't have to decide your time now. It would help me. I've ummed and ahed over it. Akasha says I've never watched Turtle Boy except for the juror interview, which I didn't watch. I used to watch a lot of Aiden Turtle Boy. I know it's more than that, Shelley. It's more now. It's 16 or 17. Menendez Brothers. You want me to cover Menendez Brothers, Brit? What day is that in the States? We might do, maybe we should do the Menendez Brothers on, no, all of Florida is 1:22 a.m. But Salty lives in Florida and she's on Central Time. Nick's off to Bikram Yoga. Love you all. Nick says, fuck, I need some hot Ratchet Redemption hot yoga to cleanse my soul of this vileness, this appalling behavior.
It's not a deal breaker, but I'd like to know. Thank you.
Enjoy, Nick. You're so zen. That's what I'm thinking. It's 11:23 Mountain. I love clocks. I have many clocks. Who's in Florida, Central Time? Hold on. I might be today years old. Yes, some of Florida is on Central. Wild. Colors is. Well, if you have free days, it would be great if you could have a great time to have a spot with Just to Serve TV. Absolutely. Missy Mayhem wanted me to either come on live for a hello or do a video, a congratulations video for their 10,000 subscribers. I'm not going to lie. I said yes, not to the live because I was at work, but also prefaced it with, but also I'm kind of, I'm a little bit salty because they're growing so fast and we're not. That's fine. Like, that's fine. Not even bitter. Little bit bitter. I'm happy for them. I'm happy. But then that day I was having not the most beautiful time at the start of the week emotionally and spoons wise. So I bowed out and apologized to Missy that I simply couldn't do all of this makeup shit at the end of a work day and set up all my stuff because it's a lot for a 60-second to 5-minute video. Anyway, all that to say, chat, maybe that's the problem, Princey. You left and then we went feral. I'm not sure. The Panhandle is Central. No shit. Steph's been doing a lot of research into Australia. She sends me various things like, look, there's a kangaroo island. I'm like, yes. Are we done here? We're done here. Shame on you, sir. No, wait. Nick, you've hung in very well as the only boy, the only man. Go and do your yoga shit. Bye. Okay, I'm out. I'm going to have something to eat. It's been a long time. Might have a wine. Got to hang out my washing. All that to say, we'll be streaming every night for 10 nights or every day in Australia for 10 days. Let's fucking go. The universe looks after me sometimes. KKKKK. Maybe. In his robe. Cheryl says, I never knew that tiny part of Florida was central. Interesting. I know. No, it's me being a sad little, like, but what about me? What about our channel? Like y'all know, our channel's hit the brakes. It went backwards for a while there for various reasons. And it's I mean, I wasn't Phil Spector's defense attorney. I'm just a little Australian traffic controller streaming a couple of days a week with no real time to do much of what I need to do. Good night, friends, says Colours. Nick hung well as the only man. Small dick, long balls? No. No, I'm sure Nick has an absolutely massive chode. I think it was actually Prince that put me in line that one time, so I can attest that it's because of her absence that I went feral. Right. I love you too. I love you all very, very much. I'm going to stop rambling, even though it's highly entertaining. She says the numbers fall. I love Justice Serve TV. My bristle was purely my own sad and sorry. But what about me? What about our channel numbers? Why aren't we at 10,000? Because we're not. It's fine. I'm in a quiet taste. Steph, what about voice notes? You guys can voice note back and forward. That works really well for everybody I know of. Okay. Shit. Wait. Shit. Wrong way on the scroll. Thank you all for being here. Love you quadrillion. 69 quadrillion. That's how much I love you all. Very, very much. Thank you, moderators, friends, shorties. Don't forget to leave a comment after the live stream is ended. And let me see what I can do about Ratchet Redemption 2. Peace out. See you next time for 10 Nights of Shorty. Yikes!
I love you all so very much. We had a blast just chatting and stuff. Things may have gone bit off the rails. Professional when all else fails. 'Cause chat is babe, so much to say. Emotes and all the caps out. May have been cheese, bit faster please. The time has come, Camp Shorty out. We're skating through all the tough things, learning about this and that, defense motions, prosecution, and narcissistic twats. 'Cause chat is babe, so much to say. Emotes and all the all caps out. May have been cheese, bit faster please. The time has come, Camp Shorty out. Community, just you and me. Occasionally, Buster and Poppy. It's a whole thing. Miss Shorty swing. Together we make each other happy. 'Cause chat is babe.